There you go.
Why don't you just say it? I don't even have my mic on. All right. Well, most of my people out there know that I've been sick this week, and I'm still sick. And you're probably wondering, well, hell, why didn't you cancel? So I'm not sitting across from you with you spitting on me all night long. But here I am. Hey, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Do you mind shaking hands?
Nope, not at all.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. It's good to be here. I've been here since 8 this morning, and so it's been a long day. But I think I can do this.
Yeah, well, I got down to South Bay nice and early too.
Why?
Yeah, just
what were you doing down in the South Bay? That's a nice segue into what I want to talk about.
Yeah, I was visiting clients, and then went to lunch with one of the tackle industry's longtime veterans, Rick Ozaki, who was also a client of mine.
Yeah.
And then after that, I stopped off at our mutual friend. Went to see Sam at Island to see how the store is put back together after the Del Mar show.
I bet that's a mess.
And I mean, he's trying to unpack everything and repack, and he's super busy at the same time. So there's people coming in.
Poor guy.
Yeah, and then we had one of our cigar aficionado meetups at one of the cigar lounges here in Torrance. It was really good. Got a lot of good information being shared. We had a lot of Israel from Speedy Custom Rods, who came out, who's really making a name for himself in the custom rod building world. We had a young man whom you know. He wanted to say hello to you, Nico Anderson.
Nico's a great kid.
Yep, he came out. He wanted to learn about the jigging stuff. So, and then we had Andre from the Redondo Rod and Gun Club came out as well.
Great
to
guy.
Get some information. So I go into the cigar lounge and I tell them, hey, you guys are okay if I bring rods and reels in and such, and we'll promote you guys and things like that. And they were like, absolutely. They wanted pictures for themselves. They had relatives that fish, and they wanted to, show.
Maybe they're tuning in tonight.
Hopefully they're tuning in tonight.
Who knows?
But yeah, it was a lot of good information being shared today. It was a very productive day for me. So I'm just happy to be here now. Didn't have time to do our usual dinner, but I don't think you could have handled.
No, I'm pretty shot.
All too much tonight. So
let me read a couple comments to start us off here. David Maestro is here. David, good to see you, my friend. Great guy.
Dave.
All righty, good evening, y'all. Can't wait for this.
Yeah.
A lot of people love it. Daniel Lightfoot, good evening, guys. It's cold out, and they're doing baseball practice right now. His grandson, Michael, both those guys were down here, and they're really great people. Dan Smith, it was his birthday.
Okay, yeah.
Dan, happy birthday.
Yeah,
Thanks
happy
for
birthday.
joining us, buddy. And Isaac says, good evening. Chris is with us. Good evening. Man, so many people. Good seeing you guys from the HBXL fishing family. You know what the HBXL fishing family is?
No, I don't.
That makes two of us. I was hoping you knew. Jason Lawler, I'm here in the background tonight. I wasn't going to mention that Chef Jason is here tonight, so he put a comment up, so I have to mention it.
Yeah.
I'm here in the background tonight on the podcast. Cheers, everyone. Good to have you here, Jason. It's good to see you here. Maybe the future on the boat Amigo. I'm hearing rumors about that. David Maestro got stuck at work, couldn't make the cigar lounge.
Not a problem. I did it a little early, so.
Sniper G. Brian, are you going to be at the PCS show in the Bart Hall Long Beach show? Take it away.
Yes, I will be at the PCS show. I know, Sniper Gene, you follow me on Instagram. I'll be posting my kind of my schedule on what I'm doing. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I'll let you guys know what booths you can find me at and what exactly it is that I'm doing. We'll kind of get into that this evening, but it's going to be an awful lot of fun, a lot of information being shared at those shows. And I'll be working in the booths with Taddy Lures, Owner, and Odyssey Braid. Not necessarily as a pro staff, but just kind of more just there to show people some different methods of fishing, different methods of rigging, and things like that with those particular products as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
That should be great.
Yeah, so we'll be doing. You always hear me say on the show, right? I talk about the fishing workshops. It'll be kind of in booth fishing workshops. That young man, great young man, this evening at the Cigar Aficionados meetup, Nico.
Yeah.
He was asking me. He said, "Hey, are you going to do any demos on how to fight fish on the jigging rods at the show?" I said, "You know what? Why not? I mean, it was cool to do it in the cigar lounge." We did have a lot of eyeballs on us. They were like, "What are these guys doing?"
Other people,
in the corner there. But you know what? I have to say, Blue Flame Cigar Lounge in Torrance, thank you very much for your hospitality, because they were absolutely cool with it, and they love fishermen and they want more of us coming in there. So
Where are they located?
in Torrance.
I mean, what street or what
I
part
think
of
don't they
Torrance?
call that Old Town
Oh,
Torrance?
okay, down over there.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry guys, but yeah,
They do, actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's in that area, and yeah, we had a good time, and it was a lot of information to be shared, some things to demystifying a lot of things that folks aren't maybe not information not readily available. For them on the tackle and the things like that, in particular for that bluefin fishing, what we do. So,
Yeah, great. And Bill DePriest and
Yeah.
Mike Bond are going to be on here tomorrow night.
Wonderful.
We're going to have a show with them.
Yeah.
And cover everything. It sounds like an exciting show.
Sounds
They've got
like
a lot of
it.
people involved in that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to myself. I know you put on there the expert of fishing. I am not. What I am is I'm a good.
I'm in comparison to me. Yeah, you're way above me.
I'm a good student and I'm a good listener. And you know me, Phil. You know that I write a lot of things down. Hell, I even brought a note.
I
back
see
here,
that.
just in case one of your viewers. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe they have a comment that's something I can learn from.
Yeah.
So I'm
Take notes on it.
Yeah, I'm a good student, and the goal of the cigar aficionados meetups and what we do there is, I was telling Nico, yes, what's the ploy here? And I said, well, I want to give anglers the confidence to go out and ask the right questions, right? And I think there's a big difference between asking questions and asking the right questions. I'll give you an example. I was on a 16-day trip one year. I think it was like in 06. I think it was like 06 or 07. And we had a new guy he was new to the long big fish fishing, and he asked Tim Ekstrom a question. He says, hey, what should I set my 130-pound reel for at strike, drag setting? And Tim just said 34 pounds. That's a good question, but it may not be the right question. The right question would be, hey, where do I set my drag when I get bit using this, a 5/0 owner Super Mutu or something like that? You hit them with 34 pounds of drag right from the get-go on a little tiny hook. It's physics, right? You got that great big fish and a little tiny hook. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
So just wanted to give the anglers confidence to go out to, number one, go out and try it, and more importantly, learn how to ask the right questions so that they're armed with the best knowledge and they can go out and have a successful time out on the water.
Yeah, for sure. Good stuff. Let's see. Hopefully someday HBXL fishing. I'm sick, so if some of these things don't follow to me, it's not you guys, it's me. My brain, I'm not that smart to start with, and then you throw a little stomach flu in, and I'm gone. Do you know Jason Seward?
Yes.
It is a small world. He said you guys worked together.
We did. Yeah. We worked at, it was a little, not a little, very large distributor, fishing tackle and outdoor sports and shooting sports. We worked there together, and I knew his dad, and he and I, he came on a lot of my charters back in the day, and hi Jason. I know his brother Scott. Yeah.
That's wild, man. All right, well, good stuff. Let's see. Daniel Liano says, hello, everyone. I'm glad to be a part of the show. Thank you. You know what? Everybody out there listening to us, Brian, they are part of the show.
Yes.
That's what makes this so much fun.
Absolutely.
I love the live shows.
And what I appreciate is the Friedman Adventures family, the interaction that I have with them after the shows. It's a lot of fun, and everybody sends. I mean, the communication that I get, great questions, and even I love just hey Brian, let's caught the show. Thank you very much. That works for me, and I appreciate you very much for listening.
Yeah. And something else that I'm very proud of, and you help make it a reality. You have mentioned to me in the past, not mentioning where or what, but somebody will put on a board a question and they get ridiculed.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen here.
No.
Because come on.
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever tried anything new in their life before and has that much knowledge about it doesn't need to be ridiculed. They need help.
Right.
I went to China to teach. I didn't walk in there and know exactly what to do. I went to one of these Chinese co-teachers and said, hey, what's the deal here?
Yeah, I mean,
and she didn't look at me and say, boy, you're a dummy.
Yeah.
She said, let me help you.
I saw him chiming in, Joel Shimizu.
Yeah.
I'll give you a real quick story about that.
He says, Phil, hope to see you again at the show. I love Joel.
When my brother and we bought a skiff many years ago, we didn't have any clue on how to run a boat. We just thought it was a great idea to do it, and we used the heck out of it fishing the breakwall, but we didn't know how to launch it. We didn't know anything. And we were being ridiculed by people who were in the know. People who we were seeking their help. Hey, would you mind coming out?
They call you an idiot, right?
But Joel, he came out. and he showed us. He showed us everything, and I mean, you to this day. I mean, I'm not just saying this because he's one of my close friends, but really, thank you, Joey. I mean, because it changed the way we thought about boats, and we ended up using it a heck of a lot.
You know, we got to go over. Danny Cadota has mentioned this, that Joel has like a museum at his place, or like all these tatty lures from the ancient past. And
Yeah.
we got to go over and shoot a show over there and,
Yeah,
and
well,
get all that in there someday.
Yeah, which
That'd
guys?
be fun.
Yeah, he's passing it on to me. Did he tell you that?
No.
Yeah, Danny should know that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and Joey doesn't know it either, but he is.
Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
540 Slinger, you know that guy? Jeff Yeomans.
I do, yeah.
He says, good evening to both of us. I was at his 540 Slinger event. Great time.
Yeah, see,
really,
that's
really
what it's
fun.
all about. Right?
And then I got sick right after
Yeah.
that, so I blame
Yeah.
him. No,
Yeah.
I don't, Jeff.
Too many maple bars?
I didn't even touch one. Ask him. Hey, Blue Flame is on Satori Avenue in Torrance. Okay, I know where that is. Sam Tramp, what minimum setups do you recommend for a 1.5 to 2.5 day trip?
I guess if we're talking bluefin, you'd probably want something with 30 pound, 40 pound, something with 60 and 80 and then 100. And 30 pound would be kind of the setup that you'd use if they're real touchy. 40 pound would be your bread and butter outfit. That 60 pound rig does an awful lot. In case that fish is bigger and they're willing to bite some of the heavier string in the daytime anyway, you can fly line with it, fish a light sinker rig, and you can cast jigs with it, like your Colt Snipers or Zacanas. The 80-pound rig would be a real nice sinker rig, and that last year that sinker rig was really good. And a 100-pound rig for your nighttime forays into your 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. jigging sessions.
Beautiful. HBXL Fishing, he takes ex-military and recovering alcoholics out on fishing trips.
Oh, okay.
Suffering from PTSD, amongst other things. Great to be a part of the sale. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
great stuff you're doing there. That is changing the world.
Absolutely.
Doing really great stuff. Hit the like button, says David Maestro, and I second that. And remember, the only way we can continue to produce good content like this is if you join us on Patreon. I highly recommend you go to www.patreon.com, Friedman Adventures, $5 a month. You can keep this content going. Brian will stay here, and I won't run back to China and start teaching again. So that would be great.
Yeah.
All right, Joel says, Brian, I'll see you too. Please bring the good sandwiches of your people.
Yep. Yeah, the Vietnamese sandwiches is banh mi's. Yeah.
Your people do make great sandwiches.
I love those. At one point in my life, I weighed 289 pounds, and those were a big part of it.
Wow. I had you beat by 100 pounds when I was at my heaviest.
Were
so
you?
Gosh.
Gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Sepulveda, great guy. Got to meet Jack at the 540 Slingers Club.
Yep.
Hello, Phil. Nice meeting you on Sunday. Hello, Brian. I've seen you like tying your own assist hooks for jigs. What type of line do you use? Jack, good to see you.
Yeah. I use the assist hook cord that a company called Veravos they make. It's that red cord. What I like about it is there's a little there's a little bit of stiffness to it, and I think it keeps the hook in play a lot better, or keeps it in a good hooking position. It doesn't flop around. It doesn't want to catch all the time onto your line, and assuming you're working it right. And that cord it's durable. It lasts quite a bit of time. Quite a bit of fish. And I think one of the things that people don't realize about the assist hook cord is that it is sacrificial. So I'm always inspecting, and if I start to see frays and things like that, that's it. That it's getting chucked, and I'm replacing it. But that Veravos assist hook cord, the 240, I believe it's like 240, 280, and 320 is the ratings that they have on there. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. Now I got to get a Beavis and Butthead laugh, because after that one, man, I would have hit that when you said stiffness when you're working it right. Yeah. He said stiffness. Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those nights, huh, Phil?
I guess. I told you I'm loopy, man. I'm off the deep end.
Yeah.
Steve Bermudez, you feel you're absolutely right. It's not the question, it's the person answering the question to anticipate what the question here is asking and fill them. Am I loopy, or is he actually writing it?
Yeah.
And fill them in with all their knowledge on that subject. Does that make any sense to you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, what does it mean?
Yeah, it's absolutely right. It's not the question; it's the person answering the question to anticipate what question they're asking and fill them in with.
Hey! In between you and I think Bermudez is. Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
find your wife and lay low there a little bit,
so,
all right?
I mean, if you want to talk about, when I tell people, giving them, showing them how to, or teaching people how to ask the right questions, right? It's really just, it's sharing my knowledge with somebody. I think that generates the right questions, and I think that in saltwater fishing, freshwater bass fishing, I get it. You want to keep your secret spots, you want to keep your secret bait, you want to, things like that. That's fine. But in saltwater, it's a big ocean. And I think that the more that we're able to share these things, the better it is for everyone. Because, the way I see it is that the more information that we share, without the attitude that we just spoke of, but
yes.
the more information that we share, the less mishaps that we'll have, and maybe we can minimize that guy effect coming onto a sport.
What do you mean,
right?
that guy?
Oh, well, like Jeff, 540 Slingers, that event that they did. There are a bunch there. I know for a fact. I mean, in 2020 alone, how many jig sticks were bought and wrapped. Because on Facebook they had that jigs only page, and everybody went crazy when we were all stuck in our homes, right?
Yeah.
But you'll see it time and time again where you have guys on a boat, in particular, say San Diego, fishing the Coronados. They bring their jig sticks out, but the bow, there's got 6, 8 guys up there, and now you're kind of real timid about getting up there and doing that. Well, what Jeff did at his event is he's given people the confidence to actually want to step up into that arena and start to figure out how to be effective up there. Maybe they'll ask a guy up there, somebody who's really successful, somebody who's doing it right. Hey man, is it all right if I cast here, or where would you recommend I cast?
Yes.
Not to get in your way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, not a problem, man. You can go over here. You see. So yeah, it's just kind of that's really when I say teaching people to ask the right questions. Hey, you got to start off by giving them the knowledge, sharing the knowledge with them, and then it kind of gets them to want to invest more time into it. Is the point?
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Jason sitting here says he's got breaking news later in this show. I think. Right?
Okay.
540 Slinger, hope the coffee didn't upset your stomach, Phil. Not at all, Jeff. It was good to see you, man. How are you feeling though? Are you the one who gave me that crap? Kill you. HBXL, thanks guys. Hey, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Steve Bermuda says, damn drunks. Yeah, that's you, Steve. That's you. No, I don't even think Steve. I don't think Steve drinks. 540 Slinger, Jeff Yeomans, that's right, Brian. Got to eliminate that guy.
Yeah.
Am I that guy? No,
I don't
please,
think so.
Please, no, don't do that.
Guy with the camera.
Yeah, that's all I do anymore. My fishing skills have had to diminish because I don't fish that much anymore. But I still, I walked up to the bow of the Amigo and bounced a 20-pound yellowtail in the bow.
Now, you're probably one of them like sandbagging types. You walk on the boat and pretend you don't know anything.
I
Then you
fish-
see something in the water. You haven't put a line in all day long. You make one cast and bingo, the jackpot.
I get
fish
lucky
comes.
once in a while. I'm telling you. All right, let's see. Daniel Lianos. I'm an Orange County boy. Jig sticks is all we know. Right on, Daniel. You got to love it because Jeff and those guys are like that also, Brian.
Yeah.
They love fishing straight jig sticks. All right, Isaac. I went on a trip that Danny Wade was on. He was a great guy. Helped me throw a surface iron. Danny Wade's a really good iron fisherman, right?
Yeah. It's that type of information. He inspired you to want to dive deeper into it. Therefore, your questions will be the right ones. I mean, I told Nico tonight, or at the aficionados meetup, I was like, a lot of times people look at a rod, they go, well, what's the biggest fish I can catch on that? Well, how about this? What kind of trip are you going on first? And then I could tell you, maybe this is not applicable to what you're doing. Maybe it is, but we can figure that out and sort it all out together.
Yes.
Right? But the biggest fish I don't know. I've done some amazing things with 15-pound Andy. It just works.
Yeah,
sometimes you just get lucky. So.
540 Slinger, Jeff says he's a cockroach. Nothing gets him sick. Yeah. My wife had this crap, and she was sick for like 10 days.
Yeah.
So I looked at her, and almost immediately after I said this to her, I go, who's wearing a mask 24 hours a day? She wears a dumb mask still. And who never wears a mask?
Yeah.
And look you're always constantly sick. And of course, I got nailed right after it, but... Well, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah. I can answer the question for Mike Trunk, but you will elaborate. Mike Trunk, The answer is 100% because this guy's helped me on that very subject. Now I'll read the question so you can be in the loop here. My wife is on permanent disability. Can I contact you to make sure she's on the best plan that she can be on with Medicare?
Absolutely.
So wait a minute. Now there's some people watching this going, I thought this guy was the fishing expert. Why don't you explain?
Well, just to answer your question, yes, please do contact me. You can get me on my website, www.mhlis.com. And on there's a big old yellow banner that says, ask me about Medicare. Click on that and shoot me an email. I'm happy to help you out. You asked me what I do for full time as far as my career is
Your
concerned.
day job,
my
right?
My day job, yeah. But it's kind of morphed into something that's really a lot of fun for me, and at the same time, it is a lot of work. A lot of folks, when they get into the Medicare portion of it, it becomes something that is so intricate, so many different details, and so many different things that could ultimately get you into financial trouble. So what I do is I help folks, number one, navigate their way through that entire process. Number two, I help, even if you already have your Medicare, I help them navigate through that, just to talk to them about their benefits, what it is that's going to help, what it is that they need, what can address the concerns that they have, and things of that sort. Because one of the things that I say is, Medicare is something that that is deducted from your Social Security check, or you pay into it, or you pay for it every month. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I put up a post and I tallied it up. I put 164.90 times 12 equals like 1,900. Oh, sorry, I'm not a math guy. My wife is the CFO of the family. But I said for $1,900, when you walk into a tackle shop, you know exactly what you're getting. But that says in Medicare, because it's out of sight, out of mind, you have no clue. And because it's out of sight, out of mind, that equals sometimes, a lot of times, into out of control. And when out-of-pocket expenses get out of control, it takes an awful lot to get them under control again. And I have seen this happen time and time again, where I am working with somebody to help them rebuild their health benefits based on the fact that they have lost an awful lot of time and money with out-of-pocket expenses. So yeah, there's a lot that I do for the person who either is about to get their Medicare or has Medicare, and it's really just a matter of answering these questions and demystifying things and making things crystal clear for the benefit of that person. It's not about the big commercials. It's not about the big names. It's about what you need.
And Brian has already helped me. We're going to choose a plan later on, and we'll defer to your expertise. But you already got me on the website. We figured, like I say, I didn't have any clue what to do or what told me what to do. I did it. I'm all set.
Yeah.
Ready to turn 65, and then you're going to help me from there.
Ready to go.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to mention something to you on a personal level.
Yes, sir.
And that is, we met at that CCA thing.
Yeah.
When was that? 6 months ago?
What? That was years ago.
Was
that?
That
was before the pandemic, I think.
Okay. Well, but I mean, recently now, our friendship, I feel like, has blossomed, and a big part of the reason why is because you had me into your home for hot pot that Flora made, and Zane, with his magic tricks and everything. And when you have somebody into their home, the bond really gets. So thank you for that.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Yeah, we had an awful lot of fun that night, and Zane
the lamb was so good. Oh, does he mention it?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but at one of the next shows, I said, "Hey, Zane," I pointed to.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I let him listen to it. Yeah. We had a lot of fun that night. I wish I could. I'm not like the biggest fan of that. I can eat it.
Yeah, I know you're not. I am.
My wife she can eat it every day.
She told me that, man. She was so happy because I got leftovers for at least 4 more days.
Yeah.
And she loves the lamb too. I do too.
Yeah.
Do you like lamb?
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That was fun. Took me back to my days in China. That's for sure. All right. HBXL says you can always get a hold of me through my channel. So take a look at HBXL here on YouTube. Steve Bermudez. Has Brian ever fished Morro Bay party boats? And if so, fill us in on the May bite and gear to take.
I have not fished Morro Bay since I was a teenager, going up there with a group of fishermen trying to catch albacore and stuff like that. So I really don't. That as far as anything within the last decade, I haven't. Shoot, 2 decades, I haven't been up there. I just remember those times when before smartphones, when the weather was always iffy, right? You make your way up there, you get up, made that drive, and to tell you that the weather is off and you can't go.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, on the Medicare, what age should you start planning? I'm in my 40s. Too early?
Too early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Well, I started when I was 64 and almost 65.
Yeah.
So that's about right, isn't it?
Yeah. But you're about a year before you turn 65 would be a good time for us to start talking.
Yeah.
Phil, we missed this question right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Joe Valeri, yeah, thank you. Hey, Brian, what's your take on using a crimped 300-pound leader?
Yep.
And then it went away. But Jason's going to get it for us.
Hang on.
There you go. Where is
Right there
it?
at the bottom.
Okay, perfect. I got it. Hey, Brian, what's your take on using a crimped 300-pound bite leader from last season, rinsed in fresh water after each trip?
Well,
Thank you, Jason.
I don't. As soon as my line gets wet, that's pretty much it. As soon as it goes in the water, just because it's a fish of a lifetime that you're trying to get after, right? And even if you rinse it off, I know that line does. There's an absorption of water and things like that. But the fact is that I have no idea what went on down there. I could have gotten into a tangle. I could have, it could have hit the hull of the boat.
Just not worth the risk.
Yeah, so 3 feet of 300-pound, it's really not all too much. I would absolutely change it. It's, it's that old saying, right? Frank used to say it, like it's the cheapest connection between you, the cheapest yet the most important connection between you and the fish. So yeah, I personally would change it. I change my line on every trip. If I drop a jig in the water with it, I'm changing it. But then again, I only fish like, if I'm jigging anyway, I'm fishing 15, 20 feet. So it's really not that much of an investment. And if, fly lining and things like that, and it's fluoro, well then at that point, but it's still just a couple feet.
It's interesting you mentioned Frank. Did you see who the hot stick on the Royal Polaris was yesterday?
Brando.
Franklin? Yeah, Brando. Yeah, Brando was the hot stick.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
I actually had to expand the picture just to make sure
Oh,
it was
you checked
actually him.
It was him,
yeah,
right?
And it was, yeah.
He looks pretty good for 137.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's still pulling on fish. Man, Franklin Price on the Royal Polaris.
Yeah.
Good job,
They're
Frank.
having a good trip right now.
Yeah, they're having a great
good
trip.
one,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice trip. They're all over it. All right, Roland, a.k.a. the sack 6 months before you turn 65. Okay, there's another expert on Medicare. We don't need you. Albert Ponce, good evening, Phil, Brian, and FA family. I hope everyone is doing great. Albert, we're doing great because you're here with us. Hi, Crystal. Hi, kids. Good to see you guys. David Maestro, speed jigging. What setup do you like for 30 to 80 pound fish, 80 to 150 pound fish, and 150 plus pound bruisers?
I would say there'd be two setups that would be that would apply to all that. The first one would be something in a 5.5 or 6 foot with a PE 4 to 8 rating. And then the next one would be a 5.5 or 6 foot, something PE 6 to 10. And a lot of times that PE, I just talked about this afternoon at the Cigar Aficionados meetup. Nico was wondering what all that meant. And I said, hey, I'll try to make it as simple as possible for you. I said, because we can certainly use Dr. Google and find out the conversion rates and things like that. But just in terms that the West Coast angler will understand, I'd say take the last number of the PE rating and add a 0 to it, and that's the stick that you have. So if it says PE 4 to 8, you treat it as an 80-pound stick. That's where you're going to find the drag would be ideal for that rod. PE 6 to 10, consider that to be your 100-pound rod. There's you're fishing 25, 28 pounds, up to 30 pounds on that, and then you can, they obviously make it heavier. But I like to have those two. It's not really necessarily the size of the fish. It's more so the depth that they're at and what they're willing to eat at that time. In the daytime, you're fishing 80-pound. At times you can get away with 100, but they do get a little diva-ish in the daytime.
Yeah.
So you do find that at times, to drop in with 130, 100, anything heavier. As I've said on this show too, I haven't been bit by a bluefin in the daytime on anything heavier than 100-pound. I mean, like, it just hasn't happened
Yeah.
unless it's the kite. So those two outfits, like 4 to 8, you can fish that 150 up to a 250 gram jig. It'll make it dance, as I like to say. 6 to 10s, you fish a 250 up to a 400 gram jig. That 6 to 10 would be something really good for nighttime fishing too, for the big boys, as well as, I mean, if it just depends on the depth that they're at and what they're willing to eat.
Great stuff. Rick Slater wants to know, are rubber core sinkers still used? What about trimming mackerel tails for flatfish, for halis? I don't see rubber cores anymore, right?
I
though we
saw it
should be using them.
I saw it a couple years ago when we were fishing that smaller bluefin on the fly line. I saw it make a difference. The rubber cores.
Can you go to Sam's and buy rubber core sinkers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would. Yeah, I think he has a whole aisle of
Can I get a
lead.
6-ounce one? No, use it.
But I saw it making a big difference out there on one of my.
And
trips
that's
that
all we
guys
fished
were-
for albacore years ago.
Yeah. So I still carry it in my box. I can't say that I use it all the time, but just because of that one trip, we were fishing at Plunker Bluefin Bite, and they had, I think it was like 1 ounce or something like that they put on there, and they were getting bit. So it kind of, at that point, I said, you know what, I'm not leaving home without it.
Yeah.
Doesn't weigh that much, so I'm just going to stick a couple in the bag.
Excellent.
Put the rubber band in the middle
Yeah.
instead of the outside.
Hey, Jason, can you move that back up again? Because I think we're missing a couple of things.
Yeah.
We can't hear you when you're off mic. So at some point, we'll get you on the show.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No problem.
All right, we're just trying to get back. Isaac just sent us a $20 bill, so we're really happy about that. I think that's way too far.
Oh, what the hell is it?
Hang on, everybody.
Yeah, I gotta get it here.
Uh-oh.
Danger, danger.
Yeah.
Isaac just sent us a $20 bill. We deeply
Hey.
appreciate that.
There you
That is
go.
always
All right, so there's
awesome
the
stuff.
bottom.
All right, here we go. This is looking good. Yeah, we're good. Thank you, Jason. So,
We're at right here. Rubber core.
braid to mono, top shot to fluorocarbon leader, or just braid to fluorocarbon leader? Sniper G wants to know.
Yes, it all depends on the speed jigging setup. I like mono, so it's braid to mono, and I don't use a bite leader or anything like that. So braid to mono for the speed jigging stuff, and any of the bait fishing, any of my bait fishing, it's all braid to fluoro.
Brian, are you strictly a mono guy? No, Blue
No.
Skies wants to know.
Yeah, no. I fish the mono when I'm speed jigging. I like the stretch for the end game. And I just like the overall feel of it, especially when you're tackling bigger fish. I think the thing about getting bit off, I think that gets really blown out of proportion. A bite off to me is what a barracuda or a wahoo does. When you get bit off by a bluefin, you didn't get bit off. The teeth didn't help, but you got abraded off. Everybody that I have seen get bit off, I have seen their line, at least 3 feet of it is kind of really messed up, right?
yeah.
And I think I always say this. I remember a seminar that Rollo did. He was saying this as a kid. It stuck with me. He said that, hey, think about you. He had a way with words, right? He said, imagine you getting kidnapped, tied to a chair. Would you just use your teeth to get free? He goes, so the tuna is doing the same thing, right? He's using his body. He may not be thinking that way, but he's swimming, right? And it's just catching all over the place. So there is an element of luck to landing these fish too. So, but yes, the fluoro portion of it, it does help. It is harder for sure, but I use fluoro on all my bait setups, and I use mono on jigging setups. Jigging, surface iron, I use that short like 4 foot length of fluoro as well. But
Excellent. Gerard Perles. Gerard, nice to see you here. Hello. How often do you retie a new fluorocarbon leader after a long fight? Heavy fish.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's lobbed off, and I tie on a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not worth the risk.
No, it's not. And we're only using, again, just a couple of, for bluefin, I like the longer top shots. I don't go with for calico, sea bass, yellows, you can get away with, I caught them on 2 foot top shots, right?
Yeah.
But bluefin, Joey said something, Joey Shimizu, he said something, I think it's one of the reasons why I think it does work, but the longer top shots for bluefin, for fly lining, for tuna, they just bite it better. I think it has something to do with the sink, but there's a couple other things there that I haven't quite put my finger on, but I'm big on, I fish 20 or 25 feet when it comes to fly lining for tuna.
On the one hand, it's bad that you're here because I'm sick. You might get sick. On the other hand, I may not be able to go 2.5 hours tonight. So you might actually go home at a decent hour.
There you go.
I'll go as long as you want me to, folks. I'll tell you that right now. And with Brian here, that might be midnight.
Yeah, oh gosh.
Because you are so great with all the questions. Hit that like button,
try.
everybody. And so Brian doesn't break into tears. We want him to feel wanted here. We want him to feel loved. So make sure you hit that like button. All right, here we go again. Yellowtail 69 Wasabi, it's still good. You can break 300 pounds.
People will say that, and they'll tell me, hey, you try breaking 80-pound test. But we don't. When we throw our baits into the water, that our line has entered into their arena, and we need to make sure that our game is spot on. So you're welcome to do whatever it is that you're comfortable with, just as I am comfortable with making sure that everything is fresh in the event that fish of a lifetime does bite. And I've seen it, like last year, that bluefin, they were mixed in the daytime. Dave Maestro was on a trip where it was kind of like that. You have 40 and 50 pounders mixed in with 200 plus pounders in the daytime. My brother fly line with 50 pound and battled one for 2 hours. It was it was over 250 when he lost it at the boat. Freak accidents do happen. But I always just, it's a thing that Tim Ekstrom said once. He said, when you guys get your lines in the water, just think, what would happen if a fish of a lifetime bit it? And it doesn't have to be tuna. What if it's the world record, a 19-pound calico bass? So we just want to make sure that everything is good. Yes, it'll probably hold up. There's no questioning that. But I'm just wanting to make sure that everything is good so that my blood pressure is high enough. I don't need it to go any higher when I'm battling.
That's
the
for
fish.
sure.
Yeah.
Daniel Leanos, fluorocarbon will stretch and retract.
That seems to be what people are saying now. It started off. I remember when it just came out.
Or?
I think it does stretch. I don't. I think it's not as stretchy as monofilament is, but it stretches. There definitely is a little bit to it. But if it doesn't, I've fished sometimes like some of the jigging stuff with fluoro leaders with straight fluoro versus mono. And I found, you can't, there's something to it, because when I hook them on the fluoro, you really get jerked around. Again, we're getting real naughty here.
Yeah.
You really get jerked around.
Yeah.
You can feel it, right? But on the mono, it kind of there's a softening effect to it. So yeah, whichever way, I'm not a line engineer, but I do know that it does stretch. There's no doubt about it. In its ability to, I've seen it where when it gets stretched out after a long bite, it starts to become real milky in color. Then at that point, maybe you might want to consider changing it. So there is stretch to it for sure.
All right, Daniel says, Sarge says hi. Sarge, is that you from Redondo? I knew you a long time ago. Let's go fishing one of these days. I want to try to make the Apollo trip, but I got no money unless you can get me on for free. Yeah. Unfortunately, Sarge, I pay the boat a bunch of money, and I got to give that to them. So I collect it from you and give it to them. And so I wish I were in a position to do that for you. And I think that trip is sold out anyway, buddy. But we'll get some. We can do something, jump on a half-day boat or do something like that. All right, Jeff Yeomans, Phil, I want to invite you and the FAA family to our club meeting at Clearman's Galley this Saturday. Do you know where that is?
I do.
Where is it?
It's right by my house.
And that's in the city of?
San Gabriel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian will be educating us on wind-on leaders.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Uh-huh.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Can you talk about it a little bit, or what time it is and all that stuff?
I think it's 3 o'clock. Jeff, sorry. I think it's 3 o'clock on the 25th. I have it
Jeff
on my
will put
calendar.
something up,
Yeah,
I
I'm
hope,
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, guys, follow 540 Slingers on Instagram or Facebook, and he's got it posted up there. And yeah, it's I think he hit it right on the head. We are experiencing long range grade fish on short range trips.
Yeah.
So it's time for us to start thinking like long range fishermen do when it comes to rigging, and the wind on leader system just happens to be one of several ways, of course, but it's a really good way to attach a heavier top shot to your braided line on your reels.
Excellent. One more time again, Isaac with a $20 bill, and he says, great show. Isaac, you have no idea how much that helps and how much we appreciate it. fishing the slide a thing anymore?
Yes.
Bluefin, because you don't. I mean, if
If you get a jig strike, do you?
I think on yellowfin they're more prone to eating the troll, like
Albacore.
feathers and albacore.
The
your
mystical,
favorite.
yeah, my favorite.
Bluefin not so much. I'm sure some of the private boaters might have figured out a way, but we don't do it all too much on the sport boats because we don't get that much trolling action on them. So it's usually pulling up to a foamer in the daytime to SeaWorld, as I like to call it. You've got a bunch of fish all around and they won't bite, but you pull up on it and then you try to throw baits or jigs or poppers and things like that. So it's more interactive fishing as opposed to that old school using the trolling rigs to kind of lure the fish to the boat and keep them around the boat. So the bluefin, they're just divas. They come and go as they please.
No kidding, man. Dan Bates throws us a $10 bill. Dan, deeply, deeply appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Great show, says Dan Smith. And hello, Chef Jason. You might see more of Chef Jason on board the Apollo. Are we breaking that news tonight or not?
Amigo.
Or I'm on board the Amigo. Yeah, I can't get it straight.
We will break it.
Is that a slam dunk or we don't know
Pretty
yet?
much. It's 90%.
All right, 90%. You're going to see him on board the Amigo this year. Great chef, great fisherman. You can't go wrong. Blue Skies, how about soft steel fluorocarbon, Brian?
There's way too many brands out there for me to keep tabs on. I know that the original formulation that Tony Garza, when he still owned it.
Did you know Tony?
Very well.
I did
Very
too.
well.
Gentleman,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
Still
love Tony.
fishing.
Yeah.
I
I forget where I saw him last, but somewhere.
Maybe on a fish report.
No.
Long range boat.
Maybe, but I think
Yeah.
I know I saw him in person somewhere.
Okay.
But I can't remember where.
Yeah, I know that they've got several variations now that Okuma is they own the soft steel brand and they've got a bunch of different versions of their fluorocarbon. But at the end of the day, it's really what you like. It's gonna depend on the qualities or the properties of the line that makes you decide that you want to fish it. I'll give you an example, right? Your Opsin, your show, one of the show sponsors.
Don't say anything bad.
No,
about it.
not
I'm only
at all.
kidding.
Yeah, not at all.
Say whatever you want to say.
As far as the diameters are concerned, his diameters are a little bit smaller, but when you compare it to others, and if that's something that you found to be successful for you, then rock it.
Yeah.
Then one of my friends, he likes using the Cigar Blue, and it's really stiff. I don't care for it because up to 60 pound and 80 pound, it gets a little tricky to tie knots into.
Yeah.
So for me, I just like something that's standard diameter. I don't necessarily fish a lot of the, super thin, super strong. I'm old school. I just like the normal standard diameter stuff. And as long as it's got some remote softness to it, and I'm good with it. I like one of the things about fluorocarbon too, maybe help some of your listeners, pre-stretching it actually straightens it out. And I like that. I don't, because fluorocarbon tends to have a lot of memory on it, right? So if you've wound on, say, 10 yards onto your reel, it's gonna, and you kept it there for a couple of weeks before your trip, it's gonna take a set, the memory, right? But if you take it off, if you tied it to something, maybe you're checking drags, and you just kind of pulled on it against the drag pressure you wish to fish, it straightens out. It's almost like wire. It's just beautiful. You can cast it. It lays out really good on the water.
Yeah.
But the fluorocarbon, I don't like to use the term personal preference. That's not for me.
Yeah, I know. That's what comes to mind.
Yeah, but it's the characteristics of the line that will make you decide which brand that you like to fish.
Yeah.
So I have the brands that I like to fish. And yeah, we're very successful with the brand that I like.
Yeah. Michael just threw us a $5 bill. Michael, thank you. It was so nice to meet you. See you and meet your daughter at the Fred Hall show. He also says it was great to meet there. David Maestro, what reels do you like and what reels could we get away with for speed jigging?
Yeah, I think that we don't necessarily, when you're speed jigging, and I think it goes, if you notice that the reels for bluefin, that what we're fishing with at night, they're starting to kind of get smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
When we first started, right, everybody would, it was like, it's got to be a 50. Then it'd be like, well, no, we can actually get away with a 30 size 2-speed. Now we can get a 16. The 16 seems to be the normal size when we're with the traditional yo-yo fishing. But for speed jigging, well, we found, you got anything that holds 500, I think that 500 is the mark, is the magic number, yards. 550, 575, something like that. We don't need a ton of line just because on the speed jigging, the way that we fight them, you know that video that Roger and I did here?
Yeah, that was great.
Talking about how to fight these fish.
Yeah.
You're talking about how to fight these fish. Because of that, what we call that flat rodding technique, there is, when you're fighting a fish and you pull against it with a rod, what the rod is actually doing is it takes up the stretch of the line first before it starts to apply any of the power to the fish.
Yeah.
When we flat rod them, especially on big fish, most 90% of the drag is being applied to the hook down to that fish. So as far as reels are concerned, we don't need that much line, as we thought we did. So the ones that would be applicable, ones that are available anyway. I can come here and talk to you about reels that are not quite available and cost an awful lot of money, and they work really good. But we're talking about what's available.
Yeah.
A Talica 20 is a really good size reel for that nighttime fishing. You can fish your 130, 150 on there. The Saltiga 55, one of your sponsors, a great reel. That's pretty much like a plug and play reel. You buy it because they've already got the handle on there. Everything is ready to go, right? They hold about 550 yards of 80-pound solid. So that's more than plenty. That's big fish ready right there. And then that's nighttime stuff. In the daytime, you can get away with the Fathom 40s and things like that. The Fathom, something of that size. The Accurate Valiant 600 narrow is good. So things of that size, those still hold like 475, 500 yards, close to that of 80. What they do, so you're probably thinking, right, 50, 75 yards, is it that much of a difference? Well, not necessarily, but what it is the difference in weight. In the daytime, we are having to fish a lighter rod because we're fishing a smaller jig. So we got to get that jig to move, to dance, as I like to say.
Right.
So you're going to have to use a lighter rod. Therefore, you don't want to put a great big giant reel on there because that just kind of now defeats the purpose. As far as those boutique reels, I like to call them boutique reels, the ones that are a little harder to get, harder to find. The jigging master, that's something that a lot of the guys who speed jig really like. They like them for a couple of reasons, but the main reason that they like them is because there's a side load. You remember the internationals? Old school ones, the single speeds we'd have converted by Cal.
Oh yeah.
And then we'd have them blueprinted, right?
Yep.
Well, if you told him that, say like on a 50, I used to have Cal build mine. I'd like 50 at full, and that's 50 pounds at full, and then somewhere like 34 at strike. Not to say I'm this hulking beast of a guy that I fished that, but I like that having that extra drag in there capability because towards the end. But what happened with those reels is that the more drag you applied, number one, it was harder to push the lever up. You remember that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? So it's not only hard to push the lever up, but when you now turn the handle, there's a tremendous amount of what they call side load. You can feel that. I think the guys who do the speed jigging, they call it handle binding. So it's a tremendous amount of side load. So it makes it almost a struggle because not only now are you having to crank against the weight of the jig or the weight of the fish, but you've got to battle the side load on the reel.
Yeah.
So those jigging masters, those Maxell reels, they don't have that in them. They can get a lot of drag and you don't have that handle binding.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the jigging masters, the PE8 is a wonderful reel you can fish it both day and night. You can, because they're small and compact, but they've got really deep spools. They hold 550 yards of 80. And when you look at that compared to a Talica 20 or a Saltiga 55, they're real nice and compact. They got real long handles on them, and they're single speed, which you don't necessarily need the 2-speed. I haven't used that button I used to do a lot of my jigging with a Talica 20, and I haven't used the low gear. I always just kept it in high. As you've heard me say it at the Turner's Rod and Reel Club, I tell I don't live in low. I want as much line in as possible, and the way that we fight them on the speed jigging gear, it's a tug of war. We're getting inches at a time.
Yeah.
So those are some of the reels I like. The PE7 Jigging Master PE7 is a good one. Maxell is a reel that's very similar to the Jigging Masters. They're built almost the same. The only kind of thing that people complain about on the Maxell Ocean Max reels is that the handles are a little short. I talked to somebody that I met on Instagram, and he's working on building a longer handle for me
nice.
on those reels. But I really like those. So sorry for the long-winded.
I love it, man.
But I got to keep Phil awake.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to ask both of you guys if you see me like fainting or anything.
Yeah.
I'm hallucinating. I saw a Chinese kid walk in, and I thought Alex, the intern, had walked in here a moment ago. Was I hallucinating? Did you see a Chinese kid?
I don't know who it
that
was
came in,
though.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, all right.
You were hallucinating.
Yeah, he did come in
Yes.
then. Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep.
Man, all right.
We're right here now.
Where are we? Oh, thank
Right
you.
here.
Hi, my favorite fishing family friends. Phil, great to have seen you at the Bard Hall Show. Brian, you the man with the master plan. Mark's a
thank
great
you.
guy. And like I said, I met his daughter. And Daniel says, yes, he is Sarge. I know you from Redondo. It's great to see you, my friend. Give my best to your mother and your family. Nice to see you. 540 Slinger, 3:30 on the 25th.
There you go.
That's
I
when
was
you
off
were
by 30
close.
minutes.
You said 3. So
You want people to get there early, right?
Yeah.
Why not? I'm always early.
Don't want
anywhere I
them.
go.
Don't want them on Vietnamese time.
Is that like Costa Rica time?
Yeah, I don't know that.
Mexican
but,
food time?
Yeah, you tell Vietnamese people that you're having a party at noon. You'll be there at noon, and they're still showing up at 2:30. There you go.
I never.
Sounds like Hawaiian time.
When my wife, when we have something to go to, let's say it's at 6, I tell her it's at 4,
Yeah.
and then she's ready at 5. And we're there early.
Yeah.
She's like, you fooled me again. Daniel Llanos, do you believe an Alberto knot works for bigger game tunas for wind-on leaders?
Well, if you're talking about the Alberta knot to connect, because the wind-on leader is a completely separate way, a different way of connecting, but to connect your top shot, yeah, I mean, whatever knot you're comfortable tying, in the world of speed jigging, I think that there's a reason why those boutique knots exist. I keep using that word, but it is, I think, appropriate because you have the PR knot, the FG knot, and things like that. Listen, I can tie those on land, but when I'm on a rocking boat, it's a pain in the keister to do.
Yeah.
So that's why I use the wind-on leaders for my jigging anyway. That Alberta, the key thing with these Spectre to mono, Spectre to fluorocarbon knots is, those they sell those knot pullers now. I mean, they're getting real fancy too. Some of them are like CNC machine, and they've got rubber grips on them or whatever. You really want to make sure that you tighten those down. One of the things that I saw. Tying several knots that we're so accustomed to tying, the Royal Polaris knot, John Collins knot, the Bob Sands knot, which is a modified Tony Pena knot. Those knots are great when you're fly lining a bait, right? You're casting a sardine out who's, what is it, not even an ounce, right? So they're coming out and you wind them back in. Hey, everything is fine. But when we're jigging, we're talking about definitely more weight, and it's a constant. The motion would be you're coming up and winding down. So what you're getting is the weight. You've got tight, and then it slacks off. Tight and slack off. I've actually seen those knots. I had it myself happen because I thought and this is not a knock on the knot. It's just I'm just telling you my experience.
Right.
If I thought I had my John Collins knot cinched down properly. I was using a 190-gram Nature Boys wiggle rod. That's a $60 jig. After, I want to say 6 hours of jigging nonstop with that thing, I dropped in the final time. I went up a couple times and, whoa, what happened? Wound up and then not done.
Ouch.
Now, it definitely could. I'm not saying that it wasn't me, but what I am saying is that if you think about it, that's why those boutique jigging knots exist. So yeah, that Alberta knot, it works just fine. You just, whatever it is that you are comfortable tying, make sure, one, you do it right, and two, get those dowels, whatever it is, whoever it is that's making them, and make sure that it's cinched down good. Not obviously to the point where you're gonna break it, but I mean, cinch it down really good.
All right, perfect. Chef Jason says, give us a like, guys, for Chef Jason.
We got 73 watching and only 25 likes.
The new cook on the Amigo.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? I didn't
Yes.
say Apollo for a
You're
change.
breaking the news.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to have him on at the very end of the show. When Brian and I leave, you're going to take over, and you're going to talk to the people about what kind of menu and what kind of service they can expect on the Amigo. And try not to chase any of Paisano's passengers away on their show
They
tonight.
warned me already about that.
Yeah, I'll bet. All right, here we go. Tony Russo, pro tip. If you like Cigar Blue, the Bass Pro Extreme Fluoro is exactly the same. A little cheaper per spool.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with it, but rock it. Yeah,
Okay.
if it works,
Sounds
go
like
for it.
Costco.
Tony Russo, thank you for the for the heads up there. Jason says, send us more questions. No more questions. I want to get out of here. I'm done. No, I'm kidding. DJB, still wondering why I need to upgrade my braid to 130 pound from 80 pound. My Talica 25 has 40 pounds of drag. Unless I lock it down, which I wouldn't do, why would I upgrade?
I think I mean I wouldn't make the suggestion based on breaking strength. More say the Talica 25. Boy, if you went 80, it holds a ton of 80, and I'm just cheap. I don't need I think it might take down like close to 800 yards on
Ouch.
there.
Maybe more.
So
What's that cost?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just so. But I mean, I have a 25 that I like jigging with. I mean, I will use it. It's for there's a specific purpose that I use that size reel for. It's when the fish are biting a jig on the sink and they're big. So that way now I have a lot of line. You drop it down. I don't need to do any mechanical jigging or anything like that. They just want it that night on the sink. So at that point, I mean, on a 25, I fish 100 pounds solid on mine. I think I get like 650, 675 on there, and that's plenty.
That's plenty,
for me.
right?
Yeah. So yeah, I can't say that 130 is just that much of a significant difference in regards to, the numbers sound big, but it's really, for me, it's from being cost effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isaac says, thoughts on long or short leaders of fluorocarbon. I've heard people say the load a whole spool on their reel.
No. Gosh, you can I mean, I'm thinking like a full reel, say 25 yards of 60-pound fluoro. I mean, just casting it alone, it's so stiff, it's gonna, might do something. But no, I don't think that you kind of defeat the purpose of having the braided line on. Well, and I shouldn't say defeat the purpose, but you have the braided line, and what we've obviously been discovered over for almost 2 decades now is that the braided line it's lighter than anything that lighter than the monofilament or fluorocarbon, and it allows our bait to swim a lot better. So now if you're going to go and tie on the whole spool of your Cigar or Opsin 25 yards, number one, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Number two, it's not providing that any benefit. Maybe one can say that, well, I have plenty of line, I can keep cutting back and I don't have to keep retying, but at the cost of having that much more line in the water now, and so a guy comes up next to you who's maybe has a little bit more experience, is fishing a 20-foot top shot. Well, his bait going from point A to point B doesn't have that much to drag. And so he's as lively as he was when he first entered the water. Now he's at where the fish are. One's going to get bit over the other, right? So that's just my theory anyway. But I know a lot of people do subscribe to that theory.
All right, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, Joel Shimuzu. Well, I'm honored that he even watches the show.
Yeah,
Joel, thank you.
He's just wanting his free sandwich.
That's
it. He hit the like
I'm with
button.
you, man.
Yeah.
Joey, I'm with you. I want one too. I love those Vietnamese sandwiches. Good tips on the fluorocarbon. I prefer a stiff, he likes it stiff, strong line at the break wall or kelp fishing. Bait fishing, I prefer to use a little softer line.
There you go.
Here I go. I'm so loopy tonight. To allow the bait to swim naturally. Is Joey making sense?
Absolutely.
For a change?
Come on now.
Oh, I'm kidding. Joey, don't
worry, Joey.
Look at all the
Joey,
tatty lures back there.
You get his sandwich.
No. I'm joking. Remember, I'm sick. You're going to have to cut me some slack. I'm sick today. All right, so do you agree with that?
Yeah.
100%. All right, Steve the TV is kind of distracting. Okay.
No, he said LOL because we want to be catching those fish.
Oh, got you. Got you. I was going to try to block it out for you. Why don't people use wire for surface iron anymore, Joel?
We still
Good
do.
question.
It's a very good question. And you know what? I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think that it's people don't tying it. When I was younger, working in the shops, we used to do the haywire twist all the time.
I remember.
All day.
And I think
Do jigs swim better with wire?
Yes.
I think certain jigs absolutely do. But yeah, I think it's just really, it's the fact that it's because it's not commonly used anymore, or because of tying it up and doing things like that. It's a little tricky, for one. Number two, I don't think there's as much info, or I don't think people are seeing that much of a benefit to it. The old school guys all do.
Yeah.
And getting people to convert. You and I talked about this on my first show. New school, old school. It's hard to get the old school guys to convert to new school. It's hard to get the new school guys to kind of go back to old school.
Yeah.
But it does definitely help. There was a point in time where I was fishing like Bruce Smith. He was doing Spectre to straight wire. I'm going to tell you something. You get bit, you know it. And there's no need for anything, no hook setting, no screaming, no nothing. You turn the handle a half a crank when you get bit, and it's game on.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'm maybe Joey, you should put something out at the show people how to do the haywire twist. He does 1,000 a day during the prime season. He's sitting at his warehouse doing up wahoo leaders. But it's definitely something that I think it's a little bit of a pain in the rear for people to learn how to tie the haywire twist. And there's like a couple of different ways of doing it now. So people get a little confused.
Too far to the wire to the guys.
Mm-hmm.
So the shows that are coming up, Joey, don't worry about lunch. It's on Brian. I'll be there right next to you.
Oh, man.
The same thing. All right, Jeff Yeoman says boutique reels. I know a few people who buy them but never fish them.
Yeah.
They just buy them because they're museum pieces, or
it was just Jeff and I. We have this ongoing conversation because we both love fishing and we want to promote fishing. We're not here to promote a product line or anything like that. We just want people to go fishing.
I'm with you. Right. Don't forget to sign up for Patreon out there, you guys. Yeah. Right now. Or this show can't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're right. I just want people to go fishing.
Yeah, but there are certainly those out there, and hey, you know what? Whatever makes you happy. I'm not here to challenge that at all. But there are just those that they own the gear and they kind of like to be involved in things,
Gotcha.
But they don't go. Or they don't go often. Now, obviously, there's financial considerations and things like that. But at the end of the day, there was I've heard sometimes some people who have told me that, my friends, of course, they say, hey, yeah, fishing, Brian, the charter rates have gone up this year. I'm gonna have to, I can't go, but. Then I'll see 2 weeks later they gave West Coast Jiggers a call and bought like $800 worth of knife jigs. I don't know. Just go fishing. I mean,
right.
Not all that gear is not doing you any good.
Sitting around.
So, sitting around. So see what it does. That's the only way you're going to build confidence in your equipment.
Steve wants to know, will a Shimano Ocean Jigger 4000 get the job done?
Daytime, absolutely. Yeah, in the daytime. It wouldn't be. I would not use it at night. The only reason is that it's a star drag reel. It doesn't get enough drag for you to be able to really muscle these fish in, and also, that's the drag is key here. You heard me say it. Remember the December show? The 5 things I learned this season.
Yeah, right.
Remember
that was good.
That
almost took 4 hours.
Yeah,
remember?
Holy hell! But remember one of the things that I learned? I said, don't buy your reels based on what they get at strike anymore. Buy them based on what they get in full for this particular bluefin. You got to be able towards that end there. You got to be able to get them going, get them to come up. So that Ocean Jigger is probably really good. Daytime fish up to 150 pounds. So, be no problem. But nighttime, you're going to need a little bit more muscle there.
Great show. Give us a like, please, you guys. We deeply appreciate it. Those likes really help us a lot. Fantastic questions tonight from all of you. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy night to join Brian and I. Brian is one of our best guests, dear friend of mine now. and honored to have you on the show
Oh,
again.
no, I'm
man.
honored that you want me on the show and appreciate everybody sending in questions and listening.
Yeah, because we never we kind of drop a game plan before, wink, wink, on where we're going to go. And we never really get to it because we have so many great questions.
Yeah, I like
people come up
answering
with way better
questions.
questions than I come up with.
That's
so.
why the Cigar Aficionados meet up.
Yeah.
Right? This is one-on-one here. Nico today, he got a ton of information.
Good kid.
So.
I think it's great. All right, Isaac, on the jigging reels, are there 2 speeds or single speeds?
If you're talking about those boutique reels that I mentioned, Jigging Master, Maxell, those are single speed. The Talica 20s and the Saltiga 55s, Fathom 40s, Saltiga 40s, those are the 2-speed varieties.
All right, very good. I'm going to have trouble saying this. This is Willoughby's name. Drop Dead Fred. Good evening, boys. God's work right here. Thank you so much, Fred.
Thank you.
We really, really appreciate it. When's the Fred Hall show, Phil? We'll talk then. It's at the end of March into April. So
Bart Hall.
It's the Bart Hall show. So it'll be the end of March, and then it will the last Wednesday of March through Sunday. That's when it'll be. Hey, Scott Buchert's on there, and he says hi, Jason and Greg. Are you Greg?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Hey, right here.
Oh.
We missed Gerard.
Oh, Gerard, sorry about that. Speed jigging versus slow pitch jigging. What's the difference?
It's the speed of which you work the specific jig. So a speed jig, i.e. a knife jig as we know it here, the way that you're working it is when you lift the rod tip, when you lift the rod tip, the jig darts up, right? And when you lower it to take up the slack, the nose is coming down just a little bit. You never want it to drop below the horizontal plane because what ends up happening is that you could the hooks can tangle up with your line and all sorts of different things. It kind of gets you out of the game. So what you're doing is it's darting up, dropping, it's just constant motion. Whereas on the slow pitch fishing, it is slow. You lift up. It's a cadence thing. So you lift up real, with some speed, but not like speed jigging where we're just going and getting after it. You lift up and you let the jig. It comes up and it flutters down as you kind of have this settle in with your rod. So it's a slow. That's a slow pitch, right? So it comes up and it slowly flutters, and it keeps. You keep doing that in the zone of that fish. And I got to say, you guys want to talk slow pitch fishing? Joey Shimizu at Taddy. He's the man when it comes to slow pitch fishing. And I've said it, slow pitch catches more fish here on the West Coast. It just so happens that the speed jig gets the glory fish, the Facebook profile fish, the Instagram handle
But
fish.
the more effective method is
I wouldn't
slow
say
pitch.
more effective. I would just say more varieties
Okay.
of fish that eat the slow pitch. Guys are now fishing sand bass, calico bass with them. You can fish yellows with them. Think about fishing on the bait grounds, squid grounds for yellows. Instead of the bait and weight dropper loop, you start hitting them with the slow pitch. Now, it's just kind of in that zone and coming up and fluttering, looking like a wounded bait fish. They're going to bite it. In the daytime, the bluefin, they eat the slow pitch good too.
Yeah.
So it just catches a wider variety of fish. Like I said, though, the speed jigging, it's limited in its species, not just bluefin, but the difference between the two is obviously speed and how the action of the jig, and also the variety of fish that they're able to catch.
Fantastic show tonight, no question about it. That was not Scott Buchert. See where it says Greg B? Sometimes Scott, I don't know what he's got, his dad's phone or something. I thought it was Greg Buchert. That is Greg Bates, who helps me in a myriad of different ways. So I think what he's saying is, hi, Jason, it's Greg, Yeah, so there you are. So I figured it out, Greg. I'm sick. Hey, I said I wasn't going to whine about being sick anymore. I'm sure playing it up. Jeff Yeomans from the 540 Slingers Club says, hey, Chef Jason, I'm stoked, man. I got 4 Amigo trips this season. Looking forward to your cooking. This guy is an extraordinary cook. Mm-hmm. I know he doesn't look like it, but he's an extraordinary cook.
I think I went to
a nice guy
restaurant.
and loves fishing.
You were there.
Oh, did you go?
Meetup. Yeah, with Eddie
restaurant?
Leland. Yeah.
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 Always good. And what I was telling Mark Paisano is he's not only good, like the food's delicious, but something I'm not good at. I think I'm an okay cook, but presentation, you know, I just throw the steak on there. You know, this guy, man, it's a masterpiece
I had his
when it comes
ceviche.
out.
It was good.
Yeah, right. Israel de la Cruz throws us a $20 bill. Israel, love you. In fact, I believe you're in a Friedman Adventures short on YouTube right now, my friend, because that was such a great trip on the Relentless. So much fun, and so much fun to see you get a fish. So thank you. Deeply appreciate it. It's really what keeps this show going. And one more plug for Patreon, www.patreon.com/Friedman Adventures. For as little as $5 a month, you'll get Friedman Adventures swag, and you'll keep the show going. All right. Thank you. Greg Bates says, give me a call. So glad you're there.
He's talking to me still.
Oh, okay. He's talking to you.
Yes.
All right. Nice.
I'm cool.
All right. He said you're cool. All right.
I'm cool.
Raymond Pacheco, True Line or Harnell?
I don't have much experience with True Line. I have fished the Harnell. I own the 542, I think it was. So based on my limited experience, I would, of those two, I'd say Harnell just because I did fish one.
All right, very good. Albert Potts. I love Albert. Albert, I may need to use your place again one of these days. Brian, what are your thoughts on after finishing any knot? Topping it with super glue? Question. I know a lot of freshwater fishermen do it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You can certainly try. I know that there was a time where it was recommended to do that, especially on the knots that were for braid to mono or fluoro. I wouldn't do it for the actual knot to the hook. But one of the things I would tell you is the crazy glue. I think when we just started fishing or learning about hollow core and how to rig it, one of the things that they found was that the crazy glue, that green bottle that's impossible to keep open, you have to stab all the time with the pointy tip. They found that there's something in it that actually degrades the monofilament or fluorocarbon over time. So now obviously that doesn't come into play if you just tied it on the boat for your and you're going to go get your line in the water. But if you want to do it, there are definitely other better brands of glue out now. That tack glue that Darren Dohe he distributes, that's a really good one.
I haven't seen him for a while.
I think he's really busy. I think he's bringing like 4,000 rods to the PCS show or something.
Nice.
Having them all built, but he has that one, and that one doesn't have any effect on the line, and it dries quick. And one of the things about that tack glue, crazy glue, I mean, good luck with that. The shelf life is terrible once, right? But the tack glue, it lasts forever. I mean, I've left it open accidentally when I'm going on my, when I'm building wine only. Sometimes I just forget. I've left it open for 2 weeks. Nothing. Nothing. It's not solidified. Nothing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So that'd be from Darren there for the fishing community.
Joel Shimuzu says, "You guys are all awesome, man."
He wants the sandwich.
Oh,
He
is that
would
it?
never say that. He would never. He's never that nice to me.
Who's the most awesome? Okay, we're all awesome.
The guy down with the camera.
Now, if he picks you, he really wants the sandwich,
Yeah.
or it's the truth, which probably that's the case. DJB, cost effective, unless you already spooled your reel with 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Any insights on who makes 130-pound marker braid that isn't 30 feet?
Yeah.
Good luck keeping track of that
Yeah.
after a wait for 36 hours.
Right. Iserline makes that metered braid, and it's color coded every 100 feet. It changes color, so that's a good one. The guys that were here for your million viewer event, Odyssey, they make that. They make a
Where'd they
metered
go?
braid.
I haven't seen them again lately.
I think they'll be at the PCS show.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I'll be kind of in their booth talking about.
We got to coordinate so we can
Yeah.
run around together and do
Yeah.
some stuff.
Yeah, but we'll be talking about applications for that metered braid because it's not just jigging. Think about long soak. Now you got your line, it's meter, 100 feet, right? While they say, hey guys, those fish are boiling out there 150, 200 yards out behind the boat or something like that. Now you know exactly where you're at, right?
Yeah.
So there's applications for that for bait fishing as well. But yeah, those two brands, Iserline makes that every 100 feet, and then the Odyssey braid, and then if you want the hollow, I'm not sure if Iser makes the hollow in that. I know that Jerry Brown does, call it the Patriot braid. I believe it changes red, white, and blue. It changes color every
that's
100
cool.
feet.
I like
hollow
that.
core.
Yeah, that's bitchin'.
Yeah, I think it's hollow. But.
Don't forget, stay tuned. At the end of tonight's show, Chef Jason will address the nation about the state of the galley, whatever. He'll be here, so we'll see what he has to say. Rick Slater, were roller rods hype?
No.
They were good. They were
Yeah,
effective.
they were really good.
Why don't they use them anymore?
The weight, right? We're with modern tackle, we're trying to scale back in weight, right? We're building rods. Moon was on here. Take a look at the way that he builds rods now. There's weight consideration. So the way, even when it comes down to how he lays out his thread, he keeps his wraps short. It's, what do they say? Ounces make pounds.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody, it's a weight thing because you pick up a 7-foot rail rod now with the ring guides on there, and you pick one up built with rollers. So you've got on a 7-footer, what is that? 8 roller guides, I think, something like that, 7 or 8. That's a lot of weight to have to contend with. So it's just really it's a weight thing. It's a weight savings. It was very effective. You remember that demo Bill Shedd used to do at the Fred Hall shows?
Yeah.
Where he had the lead weight bouncing back and forth. Just looking at that made you kind of say, we need roller guides on our stand-up rods. Right?
Yeah,
at that time, right? But now it's just the guides, the ring guides. The material has gotten so much better. Now we're using silicone not now. It's been around for a while. Silicon carbide, silicon nitride. All those materials that are very smooth, and it just if you can save on weight, why not?
This show is rocking tonight. Oh, because of you. Let me tell you.
It's you. It's you.
No,
yeah, they're picking up that.
I'm a sick man. Yeah, and maybe Chef Jason coming on at the end of the show.
Coming up soon.
Yeah, it should be good. All right. Blue Skies, why do some folks like Spectra, Advantage? And Michael Tran chimes in and says, hey, more line for one thing.
Yeah, more line, and we can fish, again, weight, right? Being able to actively fish. What is it that Frank Lopresti used to say? I keep mentioning him.
Yeah,
right?
that's because he caught all those fish today.
In his
How many 137-year-old guys do you know out catching yellowfin tuna still?
That's messed up.
Yeah, no,
you just blame it on you being
He's
sick.
probably going to call me in the morning. Right?
Yeah, but what does Frank say in the seminars, right? 90% of fishing is done at the reel, right? So if you take that into consideration, now if you can get double a lot of line onto a smaller reel, not only will you be able to cast it better, you'll be able to effectively fish it better. So it handles a lot better. So that's just that. That's just from the physical side of things. From a bait fishing perspective, from a jig fishing perspective, for bait, we just talked about it. There's not much drag when you're fly lining a bait. So now it gets from point A. When we had our reels full of mono, you'd cast your sardine in, and before even ringed hooks, right? You'd cast your sardine in, and now he's got to drag all that line from point A to point B. And our expectation is that it's going to be just as lively and active when he gets to
Look
point
natural,
B, right?
and yeah.
Yeah, well, that's really that's an awful lot of work that you're asking this little bait to
Asking
do.
a little too much of that little bait.
So now when we've got the shorter top shots with our braided line on our reels, he doesn't have all that anymore. Now the way that I fish and I teach people, I like folks to hold. Again, this is a Frank thing. So holding the rod and reel
on
up,
Frank tonight.
right?
Yeah.
Holding the rod and reel up. Well, he's got a lot to teach.
He does.
Right.
I'm kidding around about his
right.
age,
No,
by
for
the way.
sure.
Yeah. Don't get mad at me, please. Frank, calm down.
Yeah, but we hold the rig up now when we're fly lining because it keeps a lot of that line or keeps the line at a different angle so that he's not dragging all the line out in the water. So it provides so many advantages. I can't go back.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, I know I can still catch fish on the mono, but it's just I've been spoiled by the braided line.
So what is this? Pay Eve's. I'm so screwed up I can't figure it out. Pay Eve's money. What is that? Can you read it? The one up there, it says, who would buy fishing gear and not go fishing?
Baby's money.
Baby's money. All right. There it is. Who would buy fishing gear and not go fishing? He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just go.
DJB, a $20 bill.
Nice.
I might be able to afford the antibiotics that will save my life tonight.
We're gonna make
with
a joke with the water.
simply a few more of those. Hey, DJB, thank you. I deeply appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for the
This
great
is-
questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is outstanding. Thank you. You make the show possible. We'll be doing live shows every night here pretty soon, the way it's going. 540 Slinger, you know Evan. Yes, I know Evan. Was that an answer to something? Because I'm lost. I'm sick. So sorry, Jeff. Oh, that's all right. Let's just keep going. He'll chime in again. All right, you know Evan. Trinidad 20 or Saltiga 35.
35.
Take a choice.
I like the Trinidad 20.
I'm a Saltiga guy.
All right, there you are. Sheriff Jason says Saltiga. Doug Rubin, El Sueño. Hello from windy. Oof, it is windy. San Diego. You know, they're talking like 40 knots of wind here tonight after midnight.
Oh boy.
I mean, they're talking 20 to 30, but gusting over
Yeah.
40. That's nasty. In fact, Tom Durer, this is how desperate he is. He called me tonight, said, can you go down and make sure my boat's tied up?
Oh gosh.
So, yeah, what, you're worried that I don't know how to tie a boat up?
No.
So I went down, I checked everything. The bow line was
Yeah.
not exactly right. I tied that up a little bit more, called him
Yeah.
up. I said, hey, how did you like that whale watching video I did for you, for a commercial? Oh, I don't know how to get messages off my phone. Like, at the time, it was a matter of great urgency. You got to get this done, and you got to send. So I worked my ass off. I cut this thing up, put music and the whole thing, sent it to him. He did not find
You never seen it.
Another guy who's 137 years old.
I was going to say something about your age at 136.
Yeah, that's about tonight. It's like 195. The way my brain is just like moving in slow motion. Michael Trinidad has the star appeal.
Yeah, you beat me on that one.
Is that true?
Sorry.
I mean, if you want, I can go on about why I would pick one that the Trinidad over the Saltiga, but I won't because I know you got your sponsors here. But it's not that it's one is bad and one is good.
We want to we want to know how you feel.
It's preference.
The number one, the way that the ergonomics of a Trinidad, it's a really nice package. You take a look, there's a lot of thought that went into that thing. When you look at the frame, there's kind of like an extension that comes out so that in case you're one of those that can't, you like to ball up the line, it gives you a little bit more breathing room on that.
Yeah.
It free spools. In my opinion, the spool is a little bit lighter and it free spools a little bit better. And it's to me, it's a little smoother. That's not to take anything away from the Saltiga. It's also a great reel. You've heard me sing the praises of that Saltiga.
You did already
55.
tonight.
Handle.
Yeah, that's just my own opinion anyway, which doesn't mean much.
Yeah, it means the world
Yeah.
here on the Friedman Adventures
Yeah.
podcast. Greg Bates is insulted. Phil, you called me Scott Bucher.
Uh-oh.
Really? This is Greg Bates here. Greg, you're right. That is quite an insult. I deeply apologize to you, your family members, and all of your loved ones. Please forgive me for calling you Scott Bucher.
No sandwich for you.
Yeah. Right. No sandwich for Scott. I'm blaming him for this. Doug Rubin, El Sueño. I just got some submission fishing new jigs. They work awesome.
There's another up and coming company. They
Are
they
they
do.
making the knife jigs and
They
stuff?
do. They make their maybe if they're listening, their knife jigs. They make them in like 400 and 500 gram, and we can get to that. I saw one question, and we'll address the weight on these jigs. But maybe come out with some smaller ones, and you'll really be in the game. But yeah, it's a good, nice up and coming company. They do a lot of. They fish a lot. Tell you that right now. I follow them on Instagram, and it's like they're
all
always
over it.
out.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang.
Greg Bates is really pissed about this Scott Bucher thing. You know how I know? I can tell. He writes, as always, Brian, not Brian and Phil. As always, Brian, great show.
Yeah.
Well, I can't do that. This is a family show, isn't it? All right. Paul M. Hi, Phil and Brian. Hey, Paul, that's the way to do it. He includes both of us.
There you go.
He's
There you
inclusive. Paul, I'm going to give you a big hug when you show up. Yeah, Jason's here too. Hey, Paul, thank you so much. Great show as always. Isaac, do you recommend casting a speed jig or slow pitch jig? We kind of covered that, right? But
Yeah, well, if when we're on a sport boat, one of the things that you want to do, when we're live bait fishing, right? They always say fish with the wind in your face. right? Because obviously the way that the boat is drifting. But when you're on a jig, when you're speed jigging or what you're jigging for bluefin, you're actually casting on the opposite side. And the reason why is you lob it up, and by the time it gets to the depth that you want it at, you're straight up and down, and it gives you more time in the water and in the zone. So that way, when you start to come back around to the right side of the boat with the wind in your face, you've already made you've been in touch with the fish anyway, in the zone for that much longer. That's why a lot of the guys go out and they fish the 500-gram rip rollers or that really heavy jigs, because a lot of times on a sport boat, if you have 28 people on there, it's kind of tough to be able to do that because it's just not much space, right? So now if you have to drop it on the right side of the boat with the wind in your face, you want the heaviest jig possible because you have to stay straight up and down for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So that's why the guys say, if you're fishing the yo-yo stuff, that's why that heavier jigs, the what is it, Eddie Bomb, 16-ounce torpedo sinkers, 500-gram rip rollers, things like that. That's why they're real popular, because if you can't get to the side, either the bow of the boat to cast on the downwind side, to lob it out on the downwind side of the boat to be able to swing back around to the front, now you have no choice. You have to fish something heavier if you're just going to drop it straight in front of you. It just stays in the zone that much longer.
Perfect. Please give us a like, everybody. We deeply appreciate it. Almost up to 50 likes. That's an excellent showing. Everybody loves Brian, as I do. This has just been a fantastic show. Thanks for all of you who are watching. We got a long way to go here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. No, I'm only kidding. I love all keep it coming. Anything I say tonight that is out of line or might be ruled kind of insensitive.
You're sick.
I'm sick. It's out of my mind. Yes. So who have I offended? Frank LaPreste, Joey Shimuzo, Greg Bates.
Yeah, Greg Bates.
I apologize sincerely to all of you tonight, but I'm out of my mind, sick with whatever it's called, some stomach flu crap that's going around. All right, Mike V. I had a blast figuring out how to slow pitch and caught so many different species. Talk about a workout.
I mean, it's very mechanical for sure. You're doing an awful lot, but I don't, as far as when they ask me about the speed jigging thing, not to get off topic of the slow pitch, but they ask me about the speed jigging. Boy, it seems like an awful lot of work. Here's what I'll tell you. I said this today at the Cigar Aficionados meetup. I said, guys, I read the Bible quite often, and I have not seen anywhere in there where it talks about slow pitch and speed jigging.
That's not in the Bible?
So what this means is
because
that
the apostles were fishermen.
You do however whatever it is that you do so you can gets a bite, and call it a successful day. So as far as a lot of work, I guess it depends on how you're working it or what's requires a lot more mechanical movements for you to get bit. Well, I guess it's all relative, right? So it definitely is. Well, it is a workout, but it's really rewarding, especially if you're doing it right and you've got the right cadence and you're getting bit. It sucks to wind a 500-gram jig up empty. It's wonderful to have a 200-pounder attached to it, right?
Exactly. Makes all the difference in the world, right?
Yep. Yeah,
totally.
So.
Good stuff. Don't forget, at the end of tonight's show, I will take my microphone, put it down here. Brian will take his microphone, put it down here. And Jason Lawler will come on here, Chef Jason, and riff for God knows what. I don't know if I'll have to censor it. I don't know if I have to cut him off, but we're going to give him his shot here. All right. Steve Bermudez is trying to inject politics into a show that we wish to remain apolitical on because we don't want to offend anybody. So I'll read the question, and then I think we're just going to skip by it, but it's up to you. Why do Republicans want to get rid of Medicare?
Here's what I'll tell you.
Oh, you're going to answer it. Okay, go ahead.
I'm not smart enough to understand politics and any of that stuff. I work specifically in Medicare, so regardless of whatever laws and rules and regulations that come out, I am here to serve that individual for that purpose.
Perfect. That's a beautiful answer.
Yeah.
Apolitical answer.
Yep.
Caring for other humans. Just what I'd expect from you.
Yes, sir.
Albert Ponce says, come down and use my place in Rosarito anytime. I knew that would be the case, Albert.
Yep.
Great guy. Lovely guy. We do have to get together here soon. I'm going to see how I feel in the morning. I felt like I was coming off this crap, but now, well, I put in
You
a
saw me, that's why.
15-hour day today, so that might have something to do with it. All right, Raymond, any news on brother Eddie Moreno? I know you talked to him a couple of years back or so. So I can bring you up to date. Eddie is now out of jail. He's at home with his family. He was even on here not that long ago, Raymond. So
I think I saw that on one of the shows.
yeah, he was talking to us.
Yeah.
I've talked to his girlfriend. A bunch of us got together and wrote letters of recommendations for him. Tino Valentine did, I did, and he's grateful to everybody who helped to get him out of that situation. So he's doing well as far as I know. I've talked to him a couple times. Great guy, made a big mistake. Yeah, I've made a whole bunch of those in my life. So, I mean, he's ready to move ahead, and he's doing great. So thank you so much for asking. That is great. All right, let's see. All right, yeah, Mike V. Hey, can Brian educate us on the other braid line rating, PE number, compared to what we already have?
There is a conversion to it. I'm not a mathematician. As I said earlier, Flora is the CFO and mathematician of the family. But I think you can Google that. I think I was at Island Tackle a couple of weeks ago, and they did just that.
Okay, perfect.
As far as the line is concerned, when it comes to the
or we'll get Flora in here next time.
They will have to do
She's
that.
got to bring the hot pot over there. That would be fun to do that.
Right,
there.
right. And we're
That'd
chatting
be cool
and-
to do it on camera.
Yeah.
And just chat. And
Yeah.
We have to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, to get more of that.
Hot pot, Bob, it's gone, you're mean.
Soto. Good evening, Phil, Brian, and everyone in the chat. What's your favorite way to cook sculpin? Brian. You can answer that later, Jason.
yeah.
Because you're off mic over there. This is why you want to know my. So I think if I tell him, hey, we're going to turn the show over to you at the end, he'll quiet down over there. He's off mic. Nobody can hear him when he's blabbering. And so it kind of has worked, you know, not perfectly, but almost.
Yeah. I want to know how
See, there you go. Hey, how do you cook sculpin?
Hot pot.
Oh, really?
Boom.
Hey, dude. Tell everybody what was in the hot pot fish-wise when we were over there, and I had some.
Bonita.
And it was great.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. Why? Because it was the way it was taken care of.
Yeah.
Right?
That came out of that was a RSW fish off the Cortez, and it was filleted and processed, or it was processed by sportsmen. So.
Christopher Bailey, finally get to catch a live show. Hey, Chris, welcome. Hope you're with some friends and family. All my best to you. I have been having to stream it while work in the AM. So he's joining us for a live show. It's great to have you with us. Christopher, DJB, once again, thanks for your kindness tonight.
Yeah.
Been looking, but haven't been able to find any tackle shops that carry the 130-pound Iserline marker. I'll reach out to Island Tackle at the Long Beach show. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Sam would have it. He's got, I don't know.
We got a handful of dealers there that should have it. So, yeah, take your pick. Bob Sands will be there. Island.
Turner's.
Ready to rock, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
we say go to-
It's going to be really big. All right, here we go. Albert Ponce. Hey, DJB, have you tried the Longfin in Orange? So the Longfin might have it, right? They're another long-time great tackle store.
Big old shop.
Yeah. All right, so Gilbert. Odyssey Braid has a nice metered line too. Just throwing it out there. Thank you, Gilbert. So those are the guys that were here, right? Yeah. They were very nice. Yeah. All right, so a 540 Slinger. Evan is, there he is. He's the pay money guy. I was saying he knows who I was talking about that buys tackle and doesn't go fishing. All right, he knows. A little inside there. All right, Albert Ponce. New Trinidad or OGS Gold Trinidad?
New.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're going new.
That new, man, I'm telling you, that to me, it is like the standard as far as a star drag is concerned. You know, sorry to say that, but it is that Trinidad A.
Beautiful. All right, let's go to Rick Slater saying thank you both very much. He's going to Patreon right now. Rick, thank you so much. Means a lot. We get enough of you guys doing this. And I'm not running back to China. You know? I'm planning on being here, but I'm having way too much fun with this. And I can't thank you enough, Rick. Thank you. All right, Gerard, want to try SPJ this year, but I have heard it's frowned upon on the party boats. Any thoughts?
the boats that I go on, I've never had them frown upon it. Maybe it's if there is a boat that does frown upon it, maybe it's a lack of knowledge on it, or maybe the person that's fishing it is creating problems for others, tangling up and things like that. But the boats that I've been on, nobody's had a problem with it.
All right, good stuff. Dave Maestro. Yeah. Dave, I was thinking about you today. We hauled about 50 bags of clothing out of here, sending to Mexico, and you donated a ton of stuff to us, came over to the warehouse.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's what I was thinking of when we were moving all that stuff. Dave says, what size assist hooks do you like for that 100 to 200 gram and the 300 to 500 gram jigs?
I know the jigs Dave fishes, and he fishes a lot of the West Coast jigger stuff. I know that those boys, they have these hooks out by Suteki. I think they're the only people that distribute that. They're for their 150 gram jig. I'm sure it'll work for their 100 gram jig. But they make it's a size 2.0 in a 2 centimeter length assist hook. For your 100 gram jig, you can get away with just one on top. For the 150 in the daytime, some guys fish that same size, 2 centimeters and size 2.0. They're fishing the top and bottom. So I know, Dave, I saw you posting, you bought like the 150 gram Speedy, and that would work. Those 2 centimeter 2.0s, top and bottom. And then the 200s, you can use the 3.0s that they have. So I'm like their spokesperson right now, huh?
Yeah.
They have a 2 centimeter 3/0 size that you use for their 200 gram. And then when you go 250s and 3s, I believe you can get away with their 3 centimeter size 3.0 hook. And then when you get bigger, they have a 3 centimeter 4/0 hook. And I know that they were working on coming up with a 4 centimeter 4/0 hook for those longer jigs. So sorry to get geeky on you, Dave, but you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, man. He loves every minute of it, too. All right, do you agree with this? Mike Trunk says the only fun part is getting bit. Everything else sucks.
I'm good with that. You know,
I kind of get that.
Yeah.
I love going, here you go. Yeah. You know?
There's a part, I say that being facetious, of course, but I like, maybe it's just the masochist in me. I like the punishment a big fish can dish out because it's kind of an ego thing. I go, man, you watch. I'm going to dish it out a little bit more here and see if you can handle it. So, I like the battle too, but that bite, they say, what is that saying? The tug is the drug.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely that surface iron fishing. We all do it just for the bite, right?
Yeah, right.
Now, pass it off to somebody else, like the crew on the San Diego. There's a young lady on the boat. The crew is working hard to get one on the plug. I'm a 10-footer in this.
Sounds awfully sexist to me. How come they're not working for the old man?
Well, 137-year-old maybe not.
You're making fun of Frank now. Was that directed at Frank?
I am not. I'm making fun of you.
Oh, that's okay. That is okay. All right. Isaac says, any news on Captain Eddie? Yeah, I can look you right there and tell you that Eddie is doing good. He had a little problem recently where he took his dog for a walk, and the dog chased the cat and dragged him down, and he ended up a bloody mess.
Oh, gosh.
And he was on a walker for a while, and hopefully he's off that now. I try to get over there 2-3 times a week. Him and his wife, lovely persons, love my burritos that I make, so I try to cook for him every week. And last time I saw him,
my burritos, by the way.
I didn't make them because I didn't want to give you the stomach flu. Next time.
Yeah.
But Eddie was doing better, and he sent me, right before I went on air with you guys tonight, sent me a photo of this giant spot fin croaker that was on the cover of Western Outdoor News. So I know that he's still thinking about surf fishing, and that's all good. Eddie, you have all our love and thoughts and prayers. He seems to be doing much better.
Good.
So that's good. Albert Pond says, hey, Phil, we should have the Wednesday night Jason show. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. He's going to be a busy boy here pretty soon.
I saw him texting him and say copy and paste this on
Gotcha, yeah.
I get it.
Hey, Albert, if he stays quiet when we have a guest on, yeah, we'll do that. We'll definitely do that. Is that Tony? Tony, is that you walking by?
Yes.
How are we doing? Are we okay, or do you want us to start wrapping?
You're good.
You sure?
Yeah. You got about, 3 or 4 more minutes.
See, when Jason goes on at the end, Tony's going to come in with a frickin',
That's
you
it,
know,
with
and
the-
pull him right off with
Yeah.
the hook. All right, Joe Valerio. On my Talic, I'm using 100-pound Power Pro Max Quattro, which has the diameter of approximately 75 to 80-pound braid. Do you think that's too thin to use for flat fall, knife jigs, with 100-pound mono to 300-pound leader?
Absolutely not. That is what the West Coast Jiggers guys use, the 100-pound Max Quattro on their reels, no problem. I don't, just because, again, it's expensive. I'm cheap.
Me too.
So, I mean, it says 100 and it's a diameter of 80. Hell, I'm just going to fill my reel with 80 then. That's just me. But yeah, they fish that and they have no problems with it. I fished the Max Quattro, I think it was like the 40-pound or something like that. And I use that on a little Daiwa bait catcher. Forget what it's called, but anyway, I use that as my 20-pound up. It's a little tiny reel. It works good. I haven't had a problem with
No wonder Tony just stuck his nose in. He asked me how long, and I go, oh, probably like an hour and a half. I'm not feeling 100%. We're well over an hour and a half already.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. The two of us get together, and it's blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You
Crazy.
have such great information. Me, I just talk until I think of something to say. And I haven't thought of anything yet.
Pass out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm immune from any prosecution tonight because I'm sick.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's right.
nobody can get me. All right, Steve Bermudez, hit the like button over and over and over again.
Thank you.
Or just once. It's like voting in Chicago.
Yeah.
Vote once and vote often. Yeah. I love it. Raymond, Phil, not sure if you remember me. I was one of the deckhands on the Native when it was still at Long Beach sport fishing with Gabe. I remember Gabe very, very well. Raymond, I'm sure I do. I mean, I just need to see your face. When you would come out on Twilights, whatever happened to those two young brothers? God, I don't know. I'm lost on who you're referring to. That was a few years ago. Raymond, if I saw you, for sure, I would remember you. You'll have to drop by here at 22nd Street one night before the show or sit here in the studio audience like Jason is. We will ask you to be quiet, not make all the noise that he's making back there. But now he's doing what? What's he doing? A striptease?
The lobster dance.
Oh, the lobster dance. But yeah, for sure. I'm not sure what kids you're talking about. Refresh my memory on that one. All right. Israel, Brian, what brand of assist hooks do you prefer to use on your little jigs? And your big jigs, too.
As far as if you're looking to buy the complete like assist hook from the package, here's the problem with the commercially available assist hooks. One person's 6.0 is another person's 9.0. I just don't understand why there isn't that much. There isn't any standardization in those sizing. It's almost it's like circle hooks. So as far as the jigs that I fish a lot of, the knife jigs, I fish a lot of the West Coast Jiggers product. Their KB jig and then their punch jig. So if you're talking about that, if you're gonna tie your own, which I do quite often, I use the owner offshore hook. And I have been using those, a proponent of those for years now. One of the things for tying your own anyway, one of the things that I try to get away from is a live bait angle hook. And if you think about from a live bait hook standpoint, when you get bit on a boat, on bait fishing, what's the crew, when they hear your reel screaming, right? What do they say to you? Wind, 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 right? That means that the hook is designed to catch on the way out. Okay, so that means that fish is swallowing it, and now as you wind, as he's turning, and it's going to catch him on the way out. What this tells me is that if I'm on a knife jig, when we're talking about bluefin specifically, the biggest concern that people have is getting chewed off, right? So if you have a live bait angle hook that's designed to hook on the way out, that means that bluefin would have had to what? Swallow the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the owner offshore hook, it's not a true live bait angle hook. it has that little hang. They used to call it the hangnail. I don't know what they call it now, but I met with them a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "Man, you're old school. You remember when we marketed that as hangnail?" It has that little offset, the little hangnail on there, and because it's a non-live bait angle hook, it actually I'm not. You can tell me that I'm kind of crazy for thinking this, but I know from talking to Rambo on the Cortez, before we had a real good understanding of rigging these jigs, he liked to make sure that everybody had a bunch of hooks on them.
Yeah.
His reason behind that is because the more hooks on them, it tends to catch or tack in them more so on the way in as opposed to coming out, so you have less of a chance of being abraded off. So if we go by that theory of Rambo's, that offset, it actually tacks itself better on the way in, right? Because that barb is always engaged, and you couple that with the assist hook cord. I call that cord, I say it's nature's swivel, right? It's able to twist and contort in all kinds of different ways. So now you have that hangnail, it catches them better on the way in. Since I started using that hook, I don't hook them deep anymore. I find that they get hooked. There's some of the jig sticking out of their mouths, regardless of the size, jig it is. That doesn't mean that it's the end all be all, but what it is that if you think about what I just said about the whole hooking on the way out as opposed to hooking them on the way in, that hangnail, that non-live bait angle hook works really good. So I use a lot of the 8.0s and the 9.0s owner offshore in my own assist hook tying. But then if you're going to be buying them, I'm again, I'm not trying to be anybody's spokesperson here, but those guys at West Coast Jiggers with that Sutek, I'm pronouncing it wrong probably. I'm sick.
Yeah. Oh, you're
I'm
sick
just
now.
kidding.
I got you sick. Finally.
Yeah, but that Suteki hook, they really, it's a good. They really did their homework when they decided to bring the sizes that they did in, and it's a really good hook size. It's a good length, and there's you can use the owner monster hook. They have that 9/0 size or a 7/0. The short, of course, 9/0 shorts right now are like Elvis. I mean, they're just people claim to have seen them, but it's just not available right now for some reason. The Gamakatsu makes a really good one too for a little bit larger hook there. I like the length of that Gamakatsu. I think they call that like the 710. It's a really heavy duty one. So yeah, that's not, again, I know, you were looking for a specific answer, and I wish that I could give it to you, but everybody's sizing is different. Go into a tackle shop and take a look at a assist hook wall. You're like, okay, why does this guy's 4.0 look just as big as that guy's 10.0? What's going on here? So you got to find a right balance between hook size and length. Those are critical. You have a 150 gram jig that's what 6.5 inches long, and 2 centimeters wide, and you slap on a 11/0 assist hook. The hook is bigger than the jig. You're probably not going to get bit.
Right.
So that's kind of where I am in regards to recommendations of hooks, of assist hooks anyway.
Rick Slater wants to know where he can donate fishing gear for kids. You can do it right here, Rick, if you want. I've got a bunch of tackle boxes. You've probably seen them out there, Jason. They're right there, and I call kids in here all the time, or there's kids that obviously can't afford it. There was a kid the other day. I go, hey, see those tackle boxes? Choose one right there. Take one. And we see kids like that down here all the time. So if that sounds good to you, you can meet me down here at the landing. Other than that, we'll come up with a plan B for you. Dezong Duong says, do I need to have mono top shot between braids and fluorocarbon leader for bluefin, knife, or flat fall jigging at night? Same question for daytime jigging and torpedo sinker dropper loop.
Well, I don't. If I was going to go back to the yo-yo fishing for the bluefin at night with a rail rod and a larger 2-speed, a 16 size 2-speed, something like that, I've never gone the route of having 100-pound top shot connected to a bite leader. I figured the less connections, the better. It's stealthier. It looks, it gets bit just fine. But I was using a wind-on leader of like 150-pound or 200-pound mono. I'm a Momoy guy, been that way for 25 years now for big fish anywhere from monofilament. 150, 200 pound momoy. I would wind that right onto my reel, and I would crimp on a swivel, and all my jigs would have split rings on the tops of them, so I can switch as needed depending on weight. And that's how I did it for that yo-yo fishing, if you will, with the rail rods. On the speed jigging, I use mono as well. So I use 130, 150, depending on the brand that you fish. Follow me on my Instagram page. I put out a really good article. I wrote it about line diameters. That's something that's really critical. I don't base my line purchases on what the manufacturer puts on the label. I base it all on diameter. How many times you hear a guy say, man, this 50 pound, it gets bit real good, and it's a diameter of 30 pound. Well, I mean, there you go, right? But then you get a guy who says, yeah, I just lost this fish on my 100 pound, but it's the diameter of 80. Well, now you kind of have to really pay attention to diameters. A lot of the guys like to fish the jig with jinkai. Well, that's a lower diameter line too. So as far as I use mono for a lot of the jigging. I don't use a bite leader just because I want to keep things real clean. And I don't all that hardware in the water. When they're biting everything, when you're on one of those trips that you read about, sure they'll eat a sinker.
Yeah.
But I'm going to prepare every single time as finesse fishing because I'm trying to get bit. I want to get bit. You got to get bit
because you're going to get bit if they're wide open. You're going to get bit on that too. Yep. But if they're not, then you might get bit.
Yeah.
Right.
So fluoro for all my bait fishing, mono for any of the bluefin jig fishing. I use mono.
Robert Slager says, "Remember when pointing your rod at the fish was a cardinal sin? Now you're not supposed to lift your rod up."
Well, you can't. That flat rodding technique for jig fishing or bluefin on jigs. It works because of the fact that you have a large hook on the jig, right? But if you're fishing a number, you got blacktail, one of your sponsors, you got one number 6 circle hook with 40 pound or 50 pound, that flat rodding, it's gonna lead to a lot of hook pulls. It's a technique that we use when the tackle calls for it. If you get bit on a bluefin on the kite rig where you're fishing a giant treble, a trailer hook, and you've got a big old 7691 or a Jobu hook on the front, well, it's game on. Go ahead and do that, and it works. But when it's real touchy fishing, you're fishing 50, 60 pound test with a little what looks like to be a mosquito hook for crying out loud. Some of their circle hooks are real small.
Yeah.
That flat rodding technique it's not conducive to hook to land, to good hook to land ratio. So.
All right, 540 Slinger Jeff Yeoman says, "Quiet in the peanut gallery, Chef Jason." Listen, everybody, I do have to make the point that Chef Jason is back there making sure that the questions are on the board. He's doing great work, and that's why we're going to turn the show over to him at the very end so Tony can come in here and turn the lights out on him.
Yeah.
Brian and I will be driving home by that time. So it should be good. All right, let's see. Owner Offshore Hooks, Jeff Yeoman says, "Work great for a bridal jig setup."
The bridal jig setup is something that I haven't seen a widespread use of it. What they do is they tie the line to the hook itself, and then they take a strand of Spectre or something like that, and it's on top of the jig. So the belief is that you don't get bit off as often. They typically are doing that with a larger circle hook.
Yeah.
So when so ideally they're going to swallow that jig, right? And as you wind, there's nothing that's going to be catching on the inside because it is a circle hook after all, right? Or it's designed to anyway in a perfect world.
Yeah.
As you start to wind and take the slack out so that you can get the hook set in them, as it's coming out, it's going to catch onto the corner of the fish's mouth just like a circle like this, and the weight of the jig itself will actually set it on them. So now he's got this big circle hook in the corner of his mouth. I think that the idea is a really, really, really good idea. I think, however, it's not, the reason why it's not as widely used is because I don't know if it's 100%. There is no 100% out there. But if that fish, there could be a number of things that go on. We have no idea how they bite these things. And the fact is that one bite you just got could be the only one on your trip.
That's right.
So the way that people see it is that, I mean, the J hook, if you snag them on the outside, at least you have a fighting chance.
Yes.
To get them. But we don't want to snag. Of course, we're trying to be sportsmen here. But a traditional J hook, it just allows you. You can get things stuck, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, Isaac wants to know your thoughts on ringed hooks.
I use nothing but. Yeah, it's a big help. It's not just for the action of the bait, but it keeps you don't wear it minimizes hook pulls, because the angle of which you're pulling, it's not a direct pull. There's a pivot point, right? So it allows the hook to stay in place, while the ring, it's going in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah. So. All right, Jeff Fuchs says, and I'm missing one question. I'm just jumping to the next one. Hold on one second, everybody. There we go. Christopher El Pescador Bailey, have you guys had a chance to use those new Nomad Squid Trex jigs?
Not yet. I want to.
No, they just hit the stores.
Did they?
Yeah, they look cool.
Yeah.
April 1st, yes.
Yeah.
Jeff Fuchs, hi Phil and Brian from Jeff. Brian, do you ever use a rubber band sinker for tuna?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. We
and then he says black rubber band?
I haven't seen that to make a difference. But just whatever you can get a hold of.
Man, we're almost through these questions.
Holy cow.
You know what that means? We're out of here. All right, here we go. William Padilla. I like William. He's a great guy, and all he says is good evening, everyone.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, William, to you and your family. All right, William, tomorrow night, lobster at the break wall. Great show. I love that lobster trip we did out of Dana Wharf Sport Fishing. We had a ball, man.
Did I miss?
This guy. So I invite him, and he goes, I just pulled up. And I go, great. We're waiting. All of a sudden, I get a message. I'm at 22nd Street.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so wrong landing. Too funny. All right, Israel, Brian, are you a big fan of quick clips, and do they hold up?
Are we talking like jigging, or,
Yes,
jigging for
yes,
bluefin? If
sure.
we're talking about
I'm trying
that?
to move this on.
No, I'm not a fan of them. I just, on my reels, when I'm on the speed jigging setups, I have a swivel tied on, and that's it. So now and all my jigs have a split ring on them, so I can just keep sliding them on and off and changing as conditions require.
All right, perfect. Albert Ponce, what are your thoughts on painting your leader line with a Sharpie for tuna fishing? I have heard that black is supposed to make the line invisible.
Haven't done it. I don't know. I've never
No
tried
opinion
it
on
before.
that.
Yeah, no
Okay.
opinion on that.
Very good. Good question, Albert. William Padilla, what are the best knots to use for jigging?
I use the chain knot on my jigs.
You're even going fast now.
Yeah, using chain knots on the jigs, but that doesn't mean that you have to have it. But I use it because the chain knots are typically a little bit longer, and it gives you that extra inch of chafe protection. But more importantly, we don't know. It's a blind strike when we're jigging for a bluefin, so we don't know when the bite is coming, and it's that sudden shock from that bite. 200-pounder freight trains your jig. It does provide shock absorption as well. So, but you can tie a San Diego knot or whatever. Yeah.
All right, Jason here says, let's go hooping one night. We should do that. That sounds like fun. Raymond says, be careful leaving after the show, fellas. It's blowing right now. We can't tell in here.
Here, outside, it's nice. It's
Is
like
it?
5 knots.
All right, he says it's not blowing here, but it's supposed to blow. So, yeah. Jason, what big boy meals are you going to have in store for us? Hold on, Jason. Don't start talking when nobody can hear you. We're going to turn it over to you. So Tony walked by once, and he's not checking to see if we're all alive. He's checking to what the hell's going on in there?
Yeah.
Not really. He's a great guy, and he sometimes I'm sensitive about it, but he always says, I'm pulling your leg, keep going. Tony, are you watching out there? You okay? So, we'll follow-up question for Mono Top Shot. See, I blabbered too much. Between braid and fluorocarbon for live bait torpedo sinker with a rubber band.
I'm fishing a fluorocarbon white Top Shot.
You are.
For a sinker.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great question, by the way. And thanks. I don't know if I think you've joined us before, Dezung, but we really appreciate you being here. Brian, I have to check my schedule, but today we're talking about a big event here, May the 20th. So you're going to have to check your schedule. I'll
Okay.
check mine.
What do we got going on?
We're going to do some kind of it'll be 2 million views or
Okay.
something, but we're also going to have a tackle meet out in the outer parking lot. Jeff Yeomans and all you guys, Casey Anglers, any club out there, we were thinking about having Club Alley right out here. Just bring a table, and we're going to have a lot of people show up for this event, and then you talk about your club and try to get more people in. So that's what we're thinking about doing.
Okay.
So
I'll
I'm
definitely
trying to
take a
figure
look.
out when my Endeavor trip is. I hope that's not May 20th. It might be because I'm on that trip.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to figure out, and then we'll move ahead. But you have got to be there. Chef Jason, he'll probably be on the Amigo, but it'd be great to have him there. All right. Uh-oh. I dropped my mic. Hold on, you guys.
Guys, just while he's getting his mic situated, I just want to let everyone know, if you like the information tonight, and I very, very much appreciate the questions that you guys are sending, but please follow me on Instagram. You can look me up. I'm the Cigar Aficionado, AFISHIN, aficionado, AFISHINADO. I post a lot of, I do a lot of write-ups, and it's on really helpful things in regards to fishing, and have you have a little bit better understanding of tackle and maybe a little insights to the industry and so on and so forth. But I post some really good information on there, and would love to have you guys chiming in there too, asking me questions. I'm happy to answer those questions.
That is something you definitely want to do. This guy is a fountain of knowledge, and he has your best interest at heart. Really, I mean that sincerely.
Yeah, I answer.
That's why you're here all the time.
Yeah, we do the Cigar Aficionado meetups. I post those all the time, but it's a one-on-one way of having people of building their confidence. I always say to people, hey, whatever questions you have, you want to learn how to tie knots, I'll bring a spool of line. You want to learn speed jigging? Of today, I brought 2 outfits with jigs on them. The only catch was, make sure you don't stick the leather chairs at poke the leather chairs at the cigar lounge.
Right.
But these are the things that I do, and I'm happy to do them, and I don't charge a dime for conversation, guys. I just would love to be able to give back to an industry that has given me so much for so long. And I have a lot of fun with it, and I really enjoy being on the show and having all your viewers asking questions.
We love having you here, Brian. Here's a few more. One of favorites of Chef Jason, the Corpse, is here, and he says, "Hey, Brian, did you change your mystery ball guess on albacore this year?"
What was my? I don't remember.
I don't either.
Didn't I just say
Do you have
no?
a mystery ball?
Yeah, I think you and I asked that. You asked me that about albacore, right? No. We didn't talk about that this year yet.
Yeah, right.
23.
Yeah, that's true. We're waiting. It's a little too early.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see what the oceanography does before we totally screws it up.
Phil's not going to give you guys an answer anymore this early.
Yes, I am. Oh, well, not this early. Next month, we're going to start. Brian and I will start making fools over it. Isaac says, congrats to my buddy Matt Thomas. New night captain on the Pride. Just passed his test.
Oh, okay.
All right, Matt. Congratulations. 540 Slinger. We will be there if you will have us. We would love to have you here. I just need to check. I'll check it. But if I don't have that Endeavor trip, I know my Apollo 2 day is right after that. We're going to do it right here, and it's going to be big. It's going to be a huge, huge, huge affair. So it should be a lot of fun. Gerard Perilous. What's the IG for Brian for me to follow? You just told him, right?
The Cigar Aficionado, AFISHINADO, Aficionado.
All right, another follower for you.
Yeah,
well
thank
deserved.
you. Appreciate it.
Well deserved. Oh no, we'll be on the Amigo charter May 20th. Let's see. So May 20th.
Oh no, I might be cooking.
Yeah, you'll be
You
cooking.
might have my food.
That's
to
2
work
people.
out.
We'll figure it out. Who knows? Gerard, glad you joined tonight's show. Welcome to the Friedman Adventures family. I second what Israel de la Cruz is saying, and he says, thank you, Israel. So we got great people.
We do.
You're one of them.
And I'm looking forward to seeing all you guys at the PCS show. Again, if you follow me on social media, Instagram, on Facebook too, we have the Cigar Aficionados group. I'm going to post my schedule for the PCS show upcoming. But be glad to host these workshops inside the booths. If people want to see assist hooks, or they want to see the jigging tackle. I know the show is going to be filled with seminar speakers and stuff, and that I'm not even at the caliber of those people that are on that stage. But
Baloney.
For a one-on-one type of session, for where we kind of really are able to dive deep, yet put it into to ways that everyone can understand, come on by. We'd love to have you.
Great. Fish Guy says he got here late. Gerard just was so kind to throw us $10. You have no idea how much we appreciate that. That's the only income we get for doing this. So thank you so very much. William Padilla said, I just followed you on Instagram.
Thank you very much.
Great show as
Should
always.
we have a hot pot Patreon? Hot pot for Phil.
Oh my God.
Because the amount of lamb that you ate that night,
Oh my
holy
God.
cow.
I say we do it right here someday, and we just have a chat about fishing.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Have Flora here and have Zane here.
Yeah, you guys, you'll laugh when you hear this, but the best time to eat that is in the summer. You got the AC on, the pot, you're all sweating. That it's just that good kind of beer. Well, I know you don't drink, but I mean, it's a lot of fun.
That sounds great. Albert Yee, always learn something new. Watching you guys, Brian is very knowledgeable. Albert,
Thanks, Al.
You nailed it. Do you know Albert?
I do.
No, he's
I
great.
paid him to say that.
Oh, good job. All right, now it's time for you and I to say goodbye and do something really reckless. Turn the show over to Chef Jason for a few minutes because Tony may throw us out. I don't know what he's going to say. I have no idea. I do know it'll probably be unhinged. And he's going to actually put a mic on so you'll actually be able to hear him instead of the mumbling in the background where we have to look out there and then like the show stops for a second and everything gets screwed up.
I had to give him credit, though. He's been very well behaved.
He has.
Yeah.
Why, have you been here when he's left? Yeah, I know, right? Hey, wait, we got one more here. The corpse. Hey, Jason. Oh, hey, Jason and Phil. Are you adding any more charters during the summer and fall, or is that the permanent schedule? We're always open to adding more, but who knows? That's it for right now, but we'll see what happens. We have some Malahini trips that we're definitely going to be adding, and Bill also has the Horizon or whatever it is. We're going to be doing that. Dave Maestro says, thank you guys. Great show.
Thanks, Dave.
Why don't you hit your Instagram one more time again? I'll hit Patreon, www.patreon.com/Friedman Adventures. We'd love it if you could join us.
Yeah.
Albert Pons says, Jason.
Yeah. Well, real quick.
He's coming.
My Instagram, the cigar aficionado, AFISHINADO. And you can also, if you want to contact me, visit my website at www.mhlis.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And I love reading fish stories, fish reports, you name it. Send them my way.
Albert Pons says, great show as always. Albert, love you. Hope to see you later this week, my friend. All right, without further ado, as Jeff Yeoman says, great show, Phil and Brian.
Thanks, Jeff.
And I stumble over and probably fall down in a heap of...
I'm going to give him my mic, and I'm going to leave before the room explodes.
Wait a minute, I'm going to give him mine. We're just going to let him out here alone.
Yeah, we're going to just see you.
Right, don't go too long or Tony will start shutting the lights out.
It's a new show now.
All right. Here we go.
After hours.
Dave Clark. All right,
have a good night, guys.
Keep it family friendly.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. We love you. Jason is coming in. And I'm sure Brian wants to get on the road.
Oh, what a great show. It was definitely a great show. All right, so now that I've taken over the show and everybody's left, now we can get into our breaking news that's coming out. And I have to keep it family friendly, but I've had my agent in talks with Mark and Jeff on the Amigo. And just so you know, we might be finalizing a deal for me to be the chef on the Amigo, which will be great for all of us that are out there. If you love my food, we're going to do it there. So it's going to be fun. So that's our breaking news that I might be coming on to step on with the Amigo and start killing it for you guys. So we'll be doing a press conference soon when it actually gets finalized. And thank you guys very much.
All right, good job, Jason.
Heck
Thanks for being here.
Cheers, you guys.
Oh, I can't turn the show off.
Oh, that's okay. Then we're going to stick around.
Hold
Questions
on.
next?
There we go.